Good morning, Lafayette. It is great to see each and every one of you. Even though I can't see you, you can see me, of course, or at least we hope we can see each other, right? That's kind of the way my week has been going with whether I could see each other or not see each other. We have a big storm coming into our forecast area. We've been watching it for what, over a week now, trying to see whether it's going to be south of us, north of us, or right around us, that kind of thing. There's new information coming in all the time, and I'll be updating you on all of the forecast wants and needs and everything that you would like to see. I am sure out there because I want to see what's going on too, because it's changing all the time. So, good morning, Lafayette. Welcome to Let's Talk Lafayette. I'm your host, Brian Burden, your humble meteorologist, I guess a winter weather expert. It is Thursday, January 22nd, and we are right in the thick of winter, of course. Chilly temperatures outside. It's hovering in the 20s right now. Matter of fact, what is the temperature outside? I think it's in the teens. 19 degrees right now outside. So it is a chilly morning, not as cold as it's going to be, and not as cold as it was a couple days ago. But we do have a lot of weather in store. Probably a mixture of clouds today, so plenty of sunshine here and there, and plenty of some in and out clouds. I've got satellite pictures, I've got radars, I've got a look at the latest model data, and I will go extensively through it because I know a lot of you are really thinking about that in the next couple of days. So bundle up tight, check those pipes out there, and let's get into what's happening around our community, the nation, the world, and of course, weather-wise. Welcome to the show. Uh, I really got to say, off the top, I need to probably dive straight into weather, right? That's what everybody's really interested in anyway. We set up all the charts, get everything ready to go here. Hopefully, you'll be able to see everything. I think you can hear me already. I don't think I'm having any hiccups. We might have to move things around here or there, but for the next 3 hours, I'm going to try to update you about everything that's coming in weather-wise, how the models change, how we look at it, what we do, what we try to figure out in between. I'm seeing different forecasts and different reasons of different people, and I'll try to pinpoint for Lafayette, of course, but it'll probably be the entire state we'll look at, and maybe some of the Midwest and down south. If some of you have friends and relatives, it's a big storm, really big storm, and it's hitting right at the dead of winter when it's the coldest. So plenty of snow in the forecast. We could call it Snowmageden. I could throw that back up there and throw this big storm behind me on a green screen and look like it's the death warmed over, but it's not here yet. Not sure if I'm gonna go do any live shots outside when it comes through. We'll have to see how that happens and what will happen with it. So, let's get right into it. I've got some pretty cool stuff for you today. I have figured out how to do picture in picture. And so what I think will happen is I popped up the picture of what is on the screen and we'll see what happens. Um, if you'll be able to see me in the corner. Now, I, for one, don't know why you want to see me in the corner, but everybody and their brother is doing this. They have a picture of themselves up in the corner while they're working on other things. So it looks like I'm already starting to get some folks tapping in and chatting with me already this morning. That's great news there on that front. You can see there. We'll go back to it real quick here. But here's your weather there. Many of you know right now, I start off with the what's happening right now in Lafayette. Well, it's 19 degrees in Lafayette right now, and it's sunny. And then I just kind of look at the MSN, which is their weather bug, right, for Lafayette, and shows there will be mostly sunny skies today, and the high will be 30 degrees. And right now, the winds are out of the west southwest at about 8 miles an hour. And then it kind of gives you the general weather bugs that we all see, right? High temperature today of around 30. The low tonight, this will be actually right before midnight, 1 degree. Not this morning, not this morning. It's 19 this morning. It'll be colder tonight. Then the high tomorrow, like 3 and -2 for the low tomorrow morning, that kind of thing. You see that. We've all seen these kind of weather bugs, and these are pretty much just generated by what is exactly on the exact spot that you're looking for the forecast at that exact moment in one specific model, right? I'm going to go through almost all the models, and we're going to talk about what we see in variances and changes and differences and why I think I might go this way or that way. And we'll get hopefully a good feel on what's happening with the system coming in and what's going to happen with our cold. So we've got a little mix of moisture, obviously being picked up from the Gulf of America with this system, which is still out into the American Southwest. It's still out over California. It's not even coming in yet. It won't start showing its head until tomorrow in Texas, New Mexico area. Tomorrow really is when we'll start to see that. Right now, it's out over Southern California. So this is what we call the dreaded Southwest Texas low, right? Or the Texas low. In the winter, we call them those. And they would come and they would cut up across the eastern half of the United States. And we would see all these big snowstorms, and it would be in different places depending on the swath and the track of the low pressure system. And I've been talking to you a lot the last couple of days about the track of the low, where the deepest snow would be variance on that. Now, last week, it kind of had it over us and just to the south of us. Then as we got into this week, because that was 10 days away, right? Plus, it kind of moved it and pressed it back farther a little bit later. Last week, I think on Monday or Tuesday, it showed it being here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now it's back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and really it's Saturday, Sunday. It's starting to pinpoint it. We're getting inside that 72-hour window of starting of snowfall potential. And now you can start to really focus on where everything's going to be. Because remember, the low is still in California. It's got to cut across, kind of reorientate itself and set itself back up in Texas and then move back up towards, well, all the way through the Mississippi Valley, up through the Ohio Valley, it looks like at this point. So we're looking at all these different factors from last week all the way to this week and all the changes. The model slowly sagged it south, farther south, and it looked like at times we weren't going to get anything out of it at all. But I kept telling you, watch, watch, let's wait, let's see. And now, as we're getting closer and closer, it's bringing the snow farther to the north. And I believe we're going to see a bit more than we were thinking even just 2 days ago, right? So that's what we're looking on that front. There is a cold weather advisory out for 1 a.m. tonight to 1 p.m. tomorrow. And again, remember I said it's going to be below zero probably tomorrow morning, and your wind chills are going to be somewhere around 20 below. So very cold wind chills as low as 20 below. Expected says 21 on there. Portions of central and east central and north central and west central Indiana. So that's coming out for tonight into tomorrow morning. And we're going to see several of these off and on over the next week because we're going to see several days where we're going to see winds and very cold temperatures in our local area. And so use caution while out there traveling about and then in the coming week, really. And this thing even shows it's got a little window on what the temperature looks like. Brings us back up to around 30 degrees by this afternoon. And then look how it drops off. We're going to be really, really cold. We're still hanging in here. There it is, showing -3 tomorrow morning on this model, on this information. It's on the related map with that. So that's for the Lafayette area. Let's see if there's any update since I clicked on that earlier. Nope, just the same one. So that's where we are, at least on that front. So I said, well, it's out in California right now. Let's actually zoom back out. Let me see if I can find here overlays. Let's go to the continental sector model. Here you go. We zoom out. See the low over here, way over on the left side of the screen. Hopefully, you're going to be able to see that. It's not off the screen. Lafayette over here in the central portion of the country. You can see some of the middle level clouds and that'll be streaming by us today. But the low is way over here in California. And you're probably not picking it up. It's probably just off the screen. But you can see some of the clouds out in front of the system coming into the Texas area already, streaming away from the low. So the low is going to reorientate itself somewhere here in New Mexico, West Texas, that kind of thing. And then it's going to just slide right up the eastern half of the United States on an angle, probably about southwest to northeast, but mainly kind of a west-east look. So we'll call it southwest or west southwest to east northeast. I think that's did I get it right? I think I got it right there. But it's going to slide right up through the Ohio Valley. It looks like right now. Now let's go back in out or back in closer a little bit. We can take a look at our clouds. And you can see the mixture of mid-level clouds that are streaming just to the south of Lafayette, which is right there. And we can see some more clouds back out to our west and northwest. We can also see the very cold temperatures in Minnesota and Wisconsin right now. As you can see, actually picking up the temperature on the ground, no movement. You don't see any movement here. You can see some clouds over the top moving, but there's a lot of cold weather bottled up here this morning, back off to our northwest. And as we get another little drop of a quick moving system like right here, it's going to reinforce some of this cold weather to drop back into our area by tomorrow morning, while the low starts to orientate itself tomorrow down towards the Texas area on the chart here. So that's kind of what you're going to be seeing with that as it gets there. Pretty cool. Now let's go in even closer into us, and you can kind of see us. You can see the ground really easy. Remember, this is an infrared shot. It's a picture of the temperatures, right? So the ground is cold, but it's not as cold as it was a few days ago. So it's just showing up as a light gray, or and then it gets a little darker gray as it starts to warm up a degree or two here or there. You can sometimes pick out the rivers pretty easily, and you can see the high clouds to our south and mid-level clouds. And it looks like we're going to bump into a few of these. If you go and look to your south right now, I'm sure you can see some of those out on the horizon out there to our south, and maybe even a little closer. And we'll see some of those in and out through the day today. We go back out just a little bit. You can kind of see how they're tracking in from the west. And I see, yes, almost a west-east movement, but I also see a slight kind of bump to the north on it right there too. And then these clouds back out here is what we'll worry about later today into this evening, and that could bring us to a little bit of light snow, possible flurry kind of activity with this thing here. And we'll get into that too as we get a little farther out. So all right, so let's dive into it right away, right? Let's dive into the first thing I want to talk about, and there's going to be a lot we're going to talk about first. We're going to come in close. I'm going to leave the bigger map out here where we can see down to the south of what's going to be happening. We're going to start with the HRRR, which is the high resolution rapid refresh. Let me go find the winter precipitation mode here. There we go. And what we see right now is there's really not much out there for us to worry about. But we've seen that on the satellite, right? We've seen a batch of clouds down here just to the south of us. We've seen that there's a batch of clouds back out towards the west right now. We think there could be some flurries maybe from the little bit of clouds that come over tonight, but it doesn't really show much of anything on here. Here's Friday morning. Now that's midnight, 2 in the morning. There's just nothing there. But we do still see the winds start to turn out of the north. We got a big high off to our northwest, just like it showed yesterday. So no changes in the forecast. It looks like from today to from yesterday to tomorrow. Everything's the same. Maybe a couple flurries tonight with some low clouds. It doesn't even really show up on the HRRR. And then we do start to see the approaching system coming in from the north. From the west. And you know what? It kind of looks like the Sphinx coming in, doesn't it? All right. One of those little looks. But here's where we are Friday. Let's go to Friday morning, right? So here's Friday morning. Still, we don't see much for the system at all. We start to see some green out to our west a little bit, out into the panhandle of Texas, but we're not really seeing much of the system because we're still under this big old high. And this big old high is going to be the precursor to how far north the low pressure system is going to be. The stronger this high is and the more capable it is of blocking this system, the more south that the low will go. Well, over the last few days, they've weakened this high, they've strengthened the low a little bit, and they brought it a little bit farther north over the last 24 hours, basically, since this time yesterday. And as we go through the morning tomorrow, and we get out to about the noon time frame or so, 1 o'clock, we still look about the same, but we're starting to pick up ice in Oklahoma. We're starting to see snow now in Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, back out towards the west. They've been starting to develop it. They're getting it first. And as we go through into the evening hours tomorrow evening, we still look great. Everything looks, it's nothing for us to worry about. But now we're starting to see heavy snows in northern Arkansas, northern and central and southern Oklahoma, with a mixture of ice down here for those folks down there in that area. And we're starting to see that Sphinx starting to pick up slowly there and head right towards us, or at least in our general direction. I also see a low embedded right here. With that system, right? And you can see the low right there, and it's right along that system. And the cold air is trapped to the north, and there's warm air trapped to the south of that. And that's where the ice problems are going to be. And right now, that low is tracking right through. It looks like the general area is going to be southern Kentucky, northern Tennessee, right along through there. That would put all the snow band to the north and all the rain bands to the south, with ice everywhere in between. Kentucky, Tennessee could see everything from rain to snow to ice to hard ice to heavy snows, depending on where they're at. Now, the HRRR only goes out to Saturday morning. And we're really expecting if snow starts and it's going to be real heavy, probably Saturday afternoon. If it's going to be more on the light side, it's going to be Sunday morning, probably more than anything else. And the two models will probably show us a difference on that. Obviously, no snowfalls yet. If we see anything overnight tonight, it'll just be some flurries from those clouds that are coming through to the west, like we've seen the last week off and on, right? Every time a little batch of clouds comes through, we get some flurries and we start to see not much, but we are going to see some windy conditions and cold tomorrow morning because I believe those clouds will go through pretty quickly, and then we're going to open up our skies. We're going to be pretty chilly. Matter of fact, let's take a look at the temperature real quick. We'll go straight to the temperature on this portion because really today and tomorrow are not big weather events other than the cold tomorrow. So here we are today. We're hovering, this afternoon, right around that 30 mark, give or take a little bit. Lafayette is right there. Okay. So that's Lafayette. The cold is bottled up to the north of us right now. We start to see the developing. We see some warmth out in front of the system. Yeah, down to the south, it's in the 40s and 50s in different places. And then as we move forward into the evening hours, now here we are to like 7, 8 o'clock. It's dropping to 26 degrees. And by midnight or so, there we go. There's midnight. We're back into the teens already. And 14's not very far away, and it's starting to drop pretty dramatically and quickly as that trough is kind of kicked past us. You can see the kinks in the lines in different places showing troughs and our northerly flow trying to set up and northwesterly. And you notice if you look at all the wind barbs, that's all these little uh, lines with barbs on the ends of them. We call them wind barbs. They're all pointed at Lafayette right now. So all this cold air, while it modifies as it comes south, is being pointed straight at Lafayette. So it won't get to minus 23 like you see up in central Minnesota. It will get cold and it will modify as it comes to the south a bit. So here it is as we're going through the morning tomorrow morning. Now we're at 10 Zulu, which is 5 o'clock in the morning. For those of you getting up to go to work early in the morning, you're showing a temperature around 3 degrees, 0 just to our north and real close to us. And then look at this, it bottoms out even more. 0, -2, -2, -5s over in Champaign, Rantoul, areas like that. Chicago, -8, -7 and northern Illinois minus 11, 12. So very cold over there. So tomorrow morning, and this is 9 o'clock tomorrow morning when I come on, we're going to be probably below 0. And look at the wind speed. The wind speed says 15 knots. 15 knots at -2 puts you right at about minus 20 degrees for your wind chill tomorrow morning. So we are going to be right there on that borderline of really, really bitterly cold and actual cold. So what are your extremes? Some of your extremes for cold are 50 degrees. Some of you it's 30 degrees. Some of you it's 10 degrees. Then there's bitterly cold. Some of you it's 30 degrees. So, but generally speaking, we're going to be really, really cold for everybody tomorrow morning. And that's going to stay in place all day. Watch what happens during the day. Not much happens. It stays -2. There's 0. What do we top out at tomorrow afternoon? So it shows about a 6 here on the HERV for tomorrow afternoon. That's it. So the high tomorrow may actually come at what, 1 in the morning? Let's see what it looks like at 1 in the morning. That would be 6Z tomorrow. It'll be 17. So your high tomorrow may be actually 17, but it'll be in the early morning hours. The high during the afternoon is only going to be around 5 or 6 or so. It's not going to be very warm at all tomorrow. And then it reinforces again overnight Saturday. And you can see why this storm to the south is going to be so potent. There's just so much cold air here. It's going to be snow when it comes through for us. And it looks like Saturday morning more of the same. We're in the single digits, very low, right around 0. We are getting, since we're not getting the big pull of northwesterly winds, we're not getting northeasterly winds. We won't be as cold Saturday morning, but it's still going to be 2 degrees out there. All right. So that's something to keep in mind there. It'll still be around 2 degrees. Very cold, very chilly. Winds are 10 knots there, so your wind chill is going to be like 10 below, roughly, give or take a little bit. So very cold Saturday morning still. So that's the HERV. That's close in. That's the close in range. Our biggest fears in the next day or two, next 24 to 48 hours, are the big time cold. I told you yesterday, make sure you're taking care of your people you know, your grandparents, your parents, if they need some help, get over and check on them today before the cold comes in tomorrow, if you can do that. Make sure their space heaters are working if that's what they're running, that they're, the AC slash heater is working, if they've got central air, make sure that's doing everything's going good. Make sure they got propane, right? We had to make sure we had propane. We were getting low a couple weeks ago. Had to make sure we had it in for the winter. That kind of thing. Just make sure they're taken care of. Pipes again. Remember tonight, pipes. You're going to be below zero. Probably take care of your pipes. That little dribble on just the farthest away faucet from the source of where everything is at, and get it started in there, and just have it just dribble a little bit overnight. That moving water keeps it from freezing. So that's how that works. That's why people tell you to do that, just to give you a heads up on that. So now let's shift our ideas here. Actually, let's go back real quick. Let's see what the NAM Nest says for temperatures tomorrow. Let's keep with the temperatures real quick here. We'll go back. It's the same thing. Shows about 30 today. So for a high. And then we go through the nighttime hours. I think it's going to be a little colder, but let's see what happens. Nope, it actually stays right around 2 to 3 degrees tomorrow morning. It shows here on the NAM Nest. Nested grid. There we go. And then it gets cold again tomorrow. So it's not quite as cold. We're talking a 2 or 3 degree difference here. That's all it is. It's either going to be just below zero or just above zero, depending which model you look at. So that's the NAM Nest. And the NAM itself, same thing, single digits, which is what I would expect because it's the same model, just a little bit bigger out. Okay. And the NAM is the North American model. I think yesterday I kept calling the GFS, which is the global model, the NAM. I kept calling it the American model, but the American model is the North American models and NAM. And the NAM NST, which is zoomed in, it's a closer in, shorter range forecast, kind of like the HER, right? Goes more by the hours, and it picks up more data, and it goes through that. You see, it's more of an hourly data. So there we go. So, and then Friday morning or Saturday morning, it shows maybe potential to get back up to 11 or 12 on Saturday because it goes out a little farther. Let's see what it shows for precip real quick, just to take a look at that winter. It shows stuff starting to come in closer to by that time frame, the NAM Nest on that. And then the NAM, there it is, getting closer to a Saturday morning into the evening. This is the afternoon hours there on that. So let's do that right now. Let's go straight out to the NAM. Let's talk about what the NAM says and what it shows. Let's go back to where we were at. Here we are on this would be Friday night at about 10 o'clock. Okay. So we're seeing the system coming up from the south. We're watching for low pressure systems. We're trying to see that a big push of snow out in front of the system comes into southern Indiana and into Kentucky by Saturday morning into the noon time frame here. But we still look good on the NAM, right? Okay, so the NAM is the one that's keeping us dry and has been keeping us dry for a while now. But it does finally bring some snow into us by the afternoon, late afternoon on Saturday, starts to bring in snow. We're at Lafayette right about here. And there's a big swath of snow back behind this. And the longer this big swath of snow stays over us, the better chance we'll get more and more snow. What we'll see here is, as you can see, there's dark patches and dark because the main low is down here. This is more, it doesn't have the support to it. So it's got spotty areas where it's light snow, heavier snow, real heavy snow, and really, really heavy snow down back towards the low. And as that moves through, the longer that batch stays over us, the worse off we'll be. But look at here. We see this low here. Now, the low is much farther south on this, but it shows the band of precipitation still cutting like right through the Ohio River Valley area. And we're going to see that when we focus on where is the actual snowfall on the charts and where is that prime spot. I'll get to that in a second. But look at how the snow now spreads farther to the north as a secondary low kind of pops along the system. So think of one low coming through, right, with a warm front in front of it, just all moving kind of west southwest to east northeast, barely moving west to east, but slightly northerly. And then there's a secondary low behind it, and then that's going to try to push some snow up into us on Sunday. Right. And so then you can see some pretty good totals of snow on Sunday, too, with the NAM. That's the big difference from the NAM from what it was just 2 days ago, where it showed us literally getting nothing from this system. So now that the NAM is coming online with what the European model shows, I'm starting to believe we're going to see more snow. Now, by what this says, by 18Z, let's go to the accumulations here. I think that one's the accumulations. It shows 5 inches of snowfall. So that's not too bad. But that's compared to zero it was showing the other day. And that's, you're still in the snow. It ends at the time while it's still snowing. So by Monday morning, because it's going to continue to snow, right? When we go back and look at the winter portion of it, right? It's not gonna stop snowing. Look at all this snow back here, right? It's not just gonna stop at 18Z, which is Sunday afternoon. It's not just gonna stop, it's gonna continue. So as the low progresses this way, the snow will come back this direction as our winds will be coming out of the east. We'll be pulling off some moisture off the lakes. The system itself already has a ton of moisture. It's pulling it all the way back into Kansas and Missouri and that kind of thing. So there will be plenty of snow back here. But you also notice, like I said before, you got dark patches, you got open spots, you got some drier areas of snow, and that's going to kind of show us what's happening with that kind of scenario with this low pulling all of that snow in. So there we go with the NAM. All right, so now that's the NAM. Now let's go back to, and then what was the totals up through? It stops at 18Z. I'll have a new update in by 11:30 this afternoon or this morning in 2 hours, and the new update should show us up to probably Monday morning or Sunday night, midnight or so. All right, so there'll be a new update on the NAM by then. Might be all the way down, not sure yet. It's all timing issues. Sometimes it's a little quicker, a little slower. It depends on what's going on in the internet world, so to speak. Let's start looking at some of the others. The total, what was the total again on that? That was 5 inches by Sunday afternoon. By Sunday afternoon for Lafayette, and heavier amounts probably south of Indianapolis, an ice band right through here. And when I go back and I look at the totals again, real quick here, let's see, total snowfall yesterday we were focusing on, and I kept telling you that the Ohio River was our focus point, right? Last week, the model came in and it kind of showed everything in Kentucky at first to start. And we were up in this band here and we thought, okay, we might get some snow with this. And then as the week went on, it slowed the system down and pushed it back to Saturday, Sunday, and it sagged that area of snowfall all the way down to southern Tennessee. And then since Monday, it's been slowly bringing the kind of strike spot of the heaviest snow farther north. Now, if you extend this corridor out farther in a timeline, you see it's now southern Indiana, right? That's getting the snow instead of the Ohio River right there along it or southerly into Kentucky, which brings our chances of snow up a little bit more. So now the NAM is coming on closer to what the European model has been showing us, all right, over this time frame. So now I'm going to go back. Let's go back to the precipitation, the winter precipitation here and the types, and go over to the GFS. Let's go to the GFS and see what it says, the global, because I like focusing on this one. This one kind of shows the system farther to the south, and this is Saturday. Now, this is a big change in the GFS because the GFS had it coming up over us yesterday. It keeps us a bit more south, but by Sunday, it starts snowing pretty heavy over us, right? And then it kind of goes through. So this is more coming to online to what the NAM kind of looked like yesterday, and it pushes the snow band farther back down into Kentucky, I believe. And let's see what it shows for us. As it goes all the way through, I can get snow totals on it there. And it shows 3 inches for us. So that would be 3 inches to 5 already that we think, and maybe even more on the NAM model. And look at where the focus is. Now it's central Kentucky on the GFS, all right? The GFS shows that in that general area for that time frame. And then precipitation-wise, the type, it kind of goes through. It's going to reinforce the cold behind it again real quick, and then we'll see that kind of stuff. So there we are with that. That's what it's showing at this point. Now let's go back to the European model, which is the one that has scared everybody because it has this tendency to overblow things from long range out, right? Now, that's just a tendency. It picked up on the low. It knew there was some low that was going to develop. It knew we were going to have this big burst of cold air come in from Canada. So it's covered everything very well. It's just how exuberant is it with the snowfall and how accurate is it going to be, the European model. So we're going to go to the European model, and let's go to its precipitation set up differently. There we go. All right, so you'll see a few different colors in this, but this is how it sets up. And here we are, Friday midnight, right? And we're moving along, and its first snowfall, it says, will come to us is somewhere Saturday afternoon, which is online now with what the North American model is saying, right? Saturday afternoon, we might start picking up some snows. Right now, all the heavy stuff is back down towards our south and to our southwest, right down here. We can't see much of where the low is at the moment because it's just off of the chart. It looks like, at least on this one that we're looking at. As we move forward in time, We see that the real heavy stuff is still south of us, and we're kind of in more of a lighter band to the north. That's midnight Saturday night into Sunday. And then Sunday morning, here we are again. There's some more snow, but then look how heavy it gets. This is by noon on Sunday. So let's go back an hour or two. There we go. That is 10 o'clock Sunday while we're all at church. We're just starting to get into some heavier amounts of snowfall or potential there. And then that stays in us and on us through Sunday night and then moves out pretty quick. The European doesn't hold on snow all the way into Monday. It kind of dies it out overnight, Sunday night into Monday, which is good for us. That would be better for us, right? You still see some things here that are troubling. First off, all the black lines here that are solid lines right here, your isobars, they're very close together here. That means it's going to be very windy over this time frame. And so you're going to have very cold temperatures, which means a dry snow, generally speaking, and it can be moved around easier. Okay, that's the winter weather expert talking about dry snows. So your visibilities can go to zero in a drop of a second. Something to keep in mind. Blizzard type conditions. It doesn't take but about 20 to 25 miles an hour of wind to drop your visibility to zero very quickly, a quarter mile or less very quickly. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on Sunday night into Monday. Now, if the snowfall that's coming up from the moisture is a bit bigger snowflakes and is more of a wet snow, it won't obviously move around as easy. But because we're so cold, a lot of our snow is going to be a dry, fluffy snow. And we'll be on the borderline between the two. So if we're in that very dry, fluffy stuff, that's from the cold air, then you're going to have to watch out for visibilities being very low on Sunday into Monday with blowing snow everywhere. If it's more on that wetter variety, because we're kind of close to the line of where that probably will be, that doesn't tend to blow around as much. It comes down, it sticks to each other, and it kind of stays there. Doesn't mean it doesn't blow around, and you can still get the wind speeds. It just takes more. Okay, so we'll have to keep an eye on the winds, and we'll get to that here shortly too. We're just talking about the storm right now. Okay, so it goes through. Now let's see what it says for actual potential for winters accumulations. 9. Now this is better. This is better than it was yesterday. I mean, I can hit it and it says 10 inches. We can find that around us. So right now we have a variance of between 3 to 5 to 9, depending on which model you're looking at. And the North American model doesn't show all the way through Monday, only goes out till Sunday evening. So, and look at where the exact spot is right here. The European model is still pinpointing exactly right on the Ohio River and has been doing that for about 24 hours now and has been in the 9 to 10 inch range for us on almost every single run. So the European model is still zooming in on the Ohio River to be the focus of the deepest snow and the thickest snow. You notice 20 inches right here. That's that's a lot of snow. 19 over towards Cincinnati. So some very deep snows there and the potential for that on front. Let's see if anybody's in. Hey, Brandon, what's up? Thanks for keeping us informed. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for watching and seeing what's going on. You know me. I like to talk weather. I'd like to talk God. I like to talk weather. I like to talk family. Then sports. Sports has moved way down the list. It used to be number one, but now it's moved way down there. So I'll try to keep keeping everybody informed. So there's a lot going on. You're not going to get an extensive forecast where we go through every single model and talk about where everything's at. You're going to get 3 minutes on TV. So remember that. I'm going through everything. We already been at it a half an hour. Let's go back and look at the temperatures real quick on these models now, right? And our surface winds and things like that. So let's go to the temperature. We go back a few days. Here we go. Now we're into the European model. And what does your European model say for tomorrow morning? It shows -2. So pretty close to what the NAM was showing. Temperature-wise, we're very similar. It does show a little bit colder overnight, Saturday night. And you can kind of see the influx now. See how all the cold air is to the northwest of us as we go into Sunday. And it's still really cold. But notice that the low is bringing winds up from the south and southwest out here in front of it. And then it shifts to the northeast for us and east, which means we get cut off from the really cold stuff. But you can kind of see that bubble of the warmer, relatively warmer weather, and it'll be warmer than it was, obviously. That's Sunday, and then it stays cold, single digits. That makes me think if we stay that way on all the models in the single digits to low teens or 10, 12 degrees, that's going to be a fluffy snow. And then look at how it reinforces Monday morning. And we haven't gotten that far out on the other models. This is very interesting too. And this will be something we'll have to worry about. So Monday morning, and once the snows stop, if it goes clear out there and we clear out all the clouds as that system yanks itself out of here, we will drop our temperatures very chilly Monday morning based on the European model right here. -6, -7 degrees Monday morning. And a 10 to 15 knot wind means -20 to -30 on your wind chills. Maybe even more. Let's see if we get any more wind speed in there. -6, -7. And then a reinforcing, it looks cold again on Tuesday, but that pocket, look at how Monday just stays cold all day. So here we are Monday at like 10 o'clock, and then there we are in the afternoon. It's still -3, and it's still -1 into the evening hours, and starts then it's -4 overnight again. Starts to actually warm up overnight, Monday night into Tuesday, into back into the single digits is how that kind of works. But let's go back to Monday morning real quick, and we see that. Let's see if I got some wind speeds. Does it show that on this one? Not sure if this model shows the wind speeds. It does not. I just have to kind of look at it and see the 10 knots and see the tight gradient coming straight out of the northwest. Remember, northwest, a pocket of cold is to our north. So something to keep in mind here. -5 is a strong possibility. Monday morning could be even colder if some of this is oriented just right and the clouds clear out on time. We'll have to see. That's still 4 or 5 days away too. So especially Monday into Tuesday, still looking cold again. So that's the European model farther out. So let's go to, well, we already covered the NAM. Let's see what the GFS says temperature wise that far out and cover what it says. And we come back to, here we are. Let's see, where's tomorrow morning? Tomorrow morning, this thing is saying about 0 for the GFS for tomorrow morning. So that's not too bad. We're seeing anywhere from -2 to like +1, right? For tomorrow morning. Not very warm at all during the day. Very cold. The temperatures, very same scenario, very similar. A little more warmth. And I know these are blue and you think to yourself that's cold, but look at this. Some teens all the way up into northern Michigan where they were in the single digits, I believe, on the European model on Sunday. So a little more warmth, and it still kind of showed us in the single digits possibly on Sunday. And then there's some cold. It looks like that means the sky's going to open up a bit on Monday into Tuesday. That's what the model believes here. So it doesn't think Monday it's going to be cold, though. So this is telling me right now, at least my first thoughts are potential for some cloud cover still on Monday, and that will keep our temperatures a little warmer. Remember, clouds act like a blanket. They block out the sun, though, during the day, too, so it doesn't help you warm up. But it doesn't look like the skies are going to open up until Monday night into Tuesday, and then we see a pocket of cold. So not as cold on the GFS as it was on the European, and then it just – but still, we're talking – guys, it's going to be the end of the month before we see another 30-degree temperature if we scratch our way up there today. Here's some more cold way out next week at the end of Friday, Saturday, pockets of cold, all below 0. Look at this, -20s into Kentucky. That's kind of unheard of where we're warmer than them, but look at the flow around it is we'll see if that pulls that in next week. That's pretty chilly. The people in Kentucky don't see -20 very often. And then us being warmer than them. I still don't see a temperature above 30. Oh, we're getting close. Tuesday, February 3rd, we're getting close. And that might be the next time we get to 30 if we don't get there today, because today will be the last if we do get there at all. So very cold, below normal temperatures throughout this entire period. Let's see if we can hit some of those winds real quick, because with these winds being like this, visibilities are going to be bad. Okay, so this model doesn't show the wind specific like that either, but it does show surface visibilities. So let's see what we can get. Look at how it picks up on the snow and blowing snow, and our visibilities are less than 1/10 of a mile, right? During this entire time frame, this would be Sunday. You're going to have very low visibilities. It'll be foggy, right? Because you're pulling up moisture. You're going to have light snow, fog everywhere. You're going to have blowing conditions. On this, it lingers into Monday morning, and then it gets better. I'm still concerned about blowing snow after the system if we get 20 knots of wind or more on Monday. So keep that in mind. And then you see another wave of a system to the south blocking off some visibilities. So visibility sometimes can give you a good indicator of what's going to happen too. And then on Tuesday, it looks like back to the Clipper system bumping through. Tuesday night into Wednesday, here comes another Clipper system I would put in there. I bet if we change it over to precipitation, it's going to show Yep, snowfall right there. Now it showed some visibilities farther to the south, right, during that time frame. So visibilities can help you sometimes indicate where weather's at, what it looks like, and where it may be moving to help. I'm still concerned Monday morning, especially the whole weekend with blowing snow. Let's go back to the HER real quick, or actually the NAM. I know we got gusts on that. Surface winds, convection. Where's my wind speeds? I thought it had it on there. There's so many different models and so much different information on there. It's easy to lose track of where you're actually looking and what you're looking for. Temperature dew point. I don't see it on there. Well, let's go with the temperature because we know we're going to get a wind barb and we're going to see isobars, right? So the good news about the cold coming into like tomorrow, right? And the next day is no wind yet. The wind isn't here with the system. We're not seeing it, right? So there we go. Come along. The winds are not bad. This is 5 to 10 knots. Still cold, chilly, -10 to -20. It's Monday morning, so they're going to put advisories out for that because it's going to be cold. And then you push yourself all the way out to Sunday morning. Now look at the gradients getting tighter. Now I'm seeing 15 to 20 on Sunday as the low tracks to our south and tightens up the entire gradient and gives us gustier winds, but luckily from the northeast. So tomorrow morning we'll have problems with wind chills, right? With the potential there, with the being below zero and maybe a 10 to 15 knot wind pushing us somewhere around -20 or so. And then Saturday's a little better. It's actually slightly warmer, but a little less wind. And then Sunday, it's even warmer on this, but look at it's windier. So no matter when you go out in the next few days coming through the weekend, bundle yourself up, be prepared. Good weekend to stay at home, watching Netflix. All right. That kind of thing. Staying away from some of the weather as long as this keeps tracking the way it's going. And but like I said, every day gets better and better. I told you they would come closer and closer together today. They already look like they're doing that. And tomorrow's Friday, literally the day before some first snowfall could hit, and it will be very close most of the models tomorrow. And we'll talk about the changes in that weather too on those fronts. So the thing about the NAM that is the kind of the worrisome portion of this for me is look at all the snow back here that it shows. It shows a lot of snow back there, and that it may be very light and not accumulate very heavy. But if it stays on you for a day and a half, now you're talking a bit, right? Snow accumulations right there, 4.7, but this stops Sunday afternoon. And it could snow all the way into Monday morning by a couple of the models if this does that. And based on the fact I could see snow way back here at that point, and it's showing 5 inches basically for us up through Sunday evening. And then one of the other models was showing 3 inches, and then the ECMF was still up around 9 to 10 for us. Definitely Southern Indiana is going to get hammered. And on the NAM, it's the progress of the snowfall is just north of the river right now for kind of the ribbon of where the snow is going to be. It's going to be right through there, just along or north of the river, which makes me think this total of 5 by Monday morning might be more like 7, right? With that other snow back here. 5, 6, 7 by that time frame. So that'll be something to keep in mind. Be prepared for this weekend. I like how it's all starting to come together now. I hate it like on Monday when we're 6 days out and we're like, it's tough call. One says 0, one says 10. What are we supposed to believe? A lot of times it ends up somewhere in between. But I have seen it where like the European model was dead on, or where the North American model was dead on, and the other one was totally wrong. And sometimes it's a 50 to 100 mile difference in treks. I can remember forecasting the WLFI one time, and I went for I think 6 inches of snow for us, and it was going to cut across Lafayette, and the snow line was going to be right near Lafayette, either just north of Lafayette or just south. We're talking a 20 to maybe 40 mile difference of where the snow started and stopped. And I come in the next morning, and it's pouring rain, right? And I'm like, oh no, the snow rain line was north of Lafayette. Well, how much north was it? Otterburn got 7 inches of snow. So Otterburn got 7 inches of snow, and it was pouring rain in Lafayette. So I'm sure a lot of people said, "Oh my gosh," but it was nice. Mary Meisluik said, "Hey, you know, it's just one of those things that happens," and it is. That was a really hard call to say exactly where the snow line was and the rain line was because we were it. So I laugh at that now, but at the time, man, I was like, I can't believe I missed that. Or, you know, I'm thinking I must have missed something, but I really didn't. It was just a really, really tough call. All right, so there you go. That's our first look at weather. And it took me 45 minutes to kind of cover most of every chart for you. Let's go back to the satellite real quick. We'll kind of just see where the clouds are. You can see they've edged a little closer to us. And again, maybe a little light snow out of this little batch when it comes over us tonight, but nothing major. You can see the cold air up to our northwest. You can see clouds coming off the lake. Man, if you are on this backside of this lake, I don't know how much you've gotten over the last week, but it's a lot. It has been staying there. So early in the week, it was coming off from the north. Remember when we were cold a couple days, and the snow was all in from Gary to Valpo to Laporte to Benton, up there. What is it? Benton Harbor, all the way back up, right? And South Bend. And then as it shifted more west to east, now all the people here, and it shut off in northern Indiana, but they're getting feet of snow up here all along the lake there, where you can see all the clouds coming in, constantly dropping a light snow through that area. Very normal for them this time of the year, right? We know that. The lake is warm, and you can see that. See how dark the lake is? The lake is very warm for this time of the year. It's not frozen yet. Once it freezes over or it gets colder and colder, then the lake effects get less and less. So by the time you get into February, lake effect snow generally is a bit less than it is in, say, December or January. That's the obvious thought process there. And the lake will be a little bit colder. So the warmer the lake is with the cold air over it, plus how cold is the cold air going over it, creates more clouds, more snow. Lake effect snow, I think it's what got me hooked on becoming a weatherman was lake effect snows when I was a kid. Well, I was in that 77, 78 winter where we had feet of snow, and there was I think it was a 10-foot drift that they cut straight down our road because we were out on county roads there south of LaPorte to get to us after a few days. It was pretty cool. It was fun. Yes, as a weatherman, I say that. And I was a kid. I probably just stayed home. It was no big deal. All right. All right, so let's come back out. Let's go back to the big picture of moi. I know that you guys were just excited to see me in here and that kind of thing because I'm so, I don't know what I would say. I'm, can you say UGLY? Something like that. I'm starting to look like the old weatherman again down in Antarctica. I got a robe on because it's cold in here. Right, so that keeps me warm, so I look like I'm kind of the winter weather man there going on. I got the old gray going in the beard and the mustache at the top is not quite gray yet. It's not caught up yet, and I'm starting to lose it, so I definitely looking like the old winter weather man. But when I was down in Antarctica, to see the shirts behind me, the kind of summer shirts that you wear, you know, when you're here in the summer, those kind of things, those Hawaiian shirts. It I wore those down in Antarctica, and I always tell everybody take 14 of them with me because it was 14 days in a row. I would wear every shirt a different day, and the pilots would get a kick out of it when they come in because I'd be wearing a different shirt. But after 14 days, when I ran out of shirts, I knew it was time to do the laundry. Get it? Yeah, that's the Marine in me thinking, and the guy, right? So every 14 days, I would go down to and do the laundry downstairs. It was pretty funny at the time, that's for sure. But it was an easy way for me to keep track of what was actually going on and what I was seeing and running into. So, well, all right. So, where are we going today then with the weather? I hope you're taking care of yourself. You're watching what's going on. We know there's advisories out there for the cold tomorrow. There will be some winter warnings coming out and advisories over the weekend. Again, still dependent on the track of where that's going to be. But there's a lot of other things going on. It's 10 till the hour. Let's hit a couple highlights of just some national news and that kind of thing. Here's the big news, right? Breaking news. Trump declares U.S. gets total access to Greenland as he reveals the latest plan. That's just coming out. Now, he told everybody about it yesterday. And if you listened to me last week when we were talking about this, I told you this is exactly what he was going for and exactly what was going to happen. We were probably going to just get some bases there, have rights to the minerals, and everybody would end up sharing it, but we would take control so we can kind of keep security for everybody, for us and for them. And eventually they would all get on board, but they'd whine and cry about it for a while. We were never going to take troops in there. We were never going to do that. But they got to act like they're big and strong too. See, there's the problem with Europe. Europe has become the weakling in all of these countries and the world order. They have now pushed themselves down because of some of the things they've done. Europe used to be the big boy on the block all the time, and yes, we came and helped them World War I, World War II, that kind of thing. But they don't want to lose their power, their influence in the world, right? Europe doesn't. While China gets bigger, while the United States is already big, while Russia continues to stay about where they are. Russia's probably slowly failing at this point. They're being pushed down. It was us, Russia, China. Now China's past them, and China's trying to pass us for power and influence in the world and taking over. China's stated goal is to take over the entire globe, if you don't know that. And parts of the Islam, the radical people, that's stated goal for them too, is to take over the globe, just to keep that in your mind. There are people out there trying to do that. United States isn't doing that. Yeah, we're trying to help out with Greenland and get something out of it. And it worked out pretty well. That's the salesman in Trump. And I kept laughing and telling you this is exactly where we were going with this. And that's what it is. Trump also promised that America's Golden Dome missile defense system will be built in Greenland. So there you go. That's to protect us even more. And that will probably happen very quick. If they don't already have it in store, ready to go, plans for it, it will be done pretty quickly and they'll get moving on that. Some more headlines. State of emergency declared as devastating blizzard threatens to blanket 30 states and 200 million people brace for the coldest storm ever. Yep, there you go. There you go on that one. Generally, I'm just going to read headlines a lot of times. I just like kind of doing that. But occasionally I'll get into the story and we'll talk about it some more. In case any of you want to get out there and talk about different things, just go ahead and chat me up and we'll talk about it. All right. I love this one. There's a new Democratic governor likened to a Bond villain. What? She's likened to a Bond villain. She doesn't look like a Bond villain to me, but she's likened to a Bond villain because she implemented drastic woke policies on day one. What state are we talking? Virginia? Yep. Newly minted Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. Let's see. First week executive orders, which include reducing cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement. She also signed executive order prohibiting discrimination in employment to foster a culture of inclusion. I thought we already had that. Do we not already have that? That's been there. Okay. That's in the law. If that was happening, then someone needed to be turned in. Why do we need to do it again? Inclusion, diversity, and mutual respect for all Virginians. She's just saying DEI again. She's just packaging it up and saying it in a different way. All right. We should be treating all of us the same, no matter what we look like, who we are, or what's going on in the world. All right. That's the way it should be. And that's the way the laws actually state. You don't need to put out stuff on it, I guess. I don't think this is that woke. I think this is just her taking over. Right. And we're going to see this every single time now that we get a new president or a new governor somewhere or a new senator. They're going to put out these things, and their first days, they're going to, in my first 100 days, I'm going to do this. And they're going to do that. That's the way the world's become. That's the way it's going to be. It's the way it looks like, right? So some more Trump news. Trump reportedly seeking regime change in Cuba after ousting Venezuela's Maduro. Well, that's true, too. We talked about that last week. Cuba may fall on its own, though. We may not have to go in there and do anything because they're having problems with oil because they got it from Venezuela, and now they're not getting it from Venezuela. The people probably have had enough there, I would think. I can foresee the people of Cuba being some of the richest people in the world once they open that entire island up to tourism, vacationing, and a place that's so close to the United States. I can see a lot of the folks there making plenty of money if they could just take over as a democracy and run a republic more than they can as a communist country. So this one, you remember the Uvalde shooting a couple years ago, the elementary school? There's a police officer found not guilty of child endangerment for his response to elementary school shooting. Yes, all of us can look at it now and go, them guys should have went in there quicker and faster. I can remember it now. They kind of held outside for half an hour or 45 minutes trying to figure out what was going on and not going in and just waiting. And so they put charges on a guy, and he was found not guilty at this point for that. That came out yesterday or this morning. That came out. It's a tough call. Come on, when you don't know the situation, it's hard to say. I wanna say we just go busting in there, with our guns ablazing, but there's kids everywhere. You're worried about the kids, shooting the kids and problems. So tough one, tough call for the police on that one and for that officer and his men. And it's unfortunate. Right now, he's gonna get to go home to his family, whoever that is. And, I hope the families of the kids there understand how tough of a situation it was. I'm sure some do. Some of them don't, and I can understand that part of it too for them because they lost their child. So, all right, what else we got going on? Furious residents of Liberal City claim it stinks of cannabis and they can't escape years after legalizing marijuana. Well, you get what you want, right? I guess out of it. um, I don't know. I'm guessing that's California, but let's check what state that's in. That's pretty funny on that one. Oh, it's Missouri, Rock Hill, Missouri, a small city with a population of around 4,700, right? In the St. Louis metropolitan area. The number of complaints about cannabis odor shot up in the second half of 2025. They received 99 complaints about stinky weed between April and December. Uh, oh, well. Um, well, that's in Missouri. They got cannabis in Missouri. If you want to get it, you can go there and you can move into that town and you won't even have to buy it. You can just walk around and you'll smell it everywhere. I guess that's how that works. Never done illegal drugs. I can't tell you. I just kind of know what I see on TV, right? um, what else we got? Oh, Ted Cruz. I laughed at this one too. Remember, Ted Cruz is a Republican senator out of Texas, right? And the last time they had this big outage of wind and solar and all this stuff with a winter storm, he and his family had planned a trip to go down to somewhere in Mexico, right? Well, apparently his this trip this year is timed exactly when this storm is getting ready to come through again, too. And so there's a picture of him on a plane, getting on a plane, getting ready to head out of wherever they're going for the warmth somewhere. But I'm sure he had already planned this, same kind of thing, same scenario, same time of the year, just getting out of the cold of Texas at what they consider to be cold and going to someplace warm. But it's a PR nightmare. He's gonna have to figure this out. Hey, folks, I'm gonna have to tell you, honey, we're gonna have to stay home. Well, what do you mean we can't go? There's a big storm coming in. We got to wait till the storm goes through before we can head down to Acapulco or wherever he's going to. Sometimes the timing is worse. Some people have the worst timing. I feel like I'm that guy. Every time I'm sitting at a red light, I think that. uh, so what else we got here? Just a lot of junk stuff. So the big stuff, obviously, is Trump right now and what he's been doing on the national stage. Right, that's been the big stuff. What do we got going on locally? Well, I want to get some more information on different things and happenings around the area and kind of talk about those things. And I'd love for you guys to call in or chat with me on the live stream and tell me some things that you're interested in, and we can talk about those and see if we can find out information about that. Because the local areas, especially what I really wanted to focus on this show, is what's happening locally, so you can call in and talk to somebody. Because I don't think we have any place to do that anywhere here in Lafayette. So 9 to noon right now, every day, Monday through Friday. And I'll tell you about cold weather advisories for tonight. Because I'm a weatherman, just happens to be that. I'll tell you a lot about sports. We'll cover national stuff like we just did there in about 10, 15 minutes. And then in the time frame, sometimes it'll go longer. It just depends on what the story is and what's happening. And if you're not chatting with me, it's whatever I feel like at that moment, right? But I do want to get the local stuff in here. And like events that are happening, that would be great to talk about. Maybe something's happening like the judge that got shot. Now, that was national news, but it's still a big story, right? We could talk about that. Maybe the city's not doing something for you you need, and you want to complain a little bit about it. Well, this might be a spot for you to just come and complain a little bit in the chat, and I can tell people. So tell your friends, your neighbors, all your family, everybody. This is the spot to come to from 9 to noon every Monday through Friday right now. Down the road, we may adjust on the times. I don't know if I'll go as long or if I'll go at a different time. I'm definitely not going longer than 3 hours. Pushes the voice pretty hard, that's for sure. Uh, so sometimes I just go through and I look at headlines of WLFI, the Journal and Courier, Star City. Sometimes I have it on a news feed that I have, and we try to talk a little bit about it. So sometimes I have tons of information about stuff, and sometimes I don't have hardly anything on it, but we'll talk about it. Obviously, the biggest thing in town still now is the ongoing manhunt for the suspect in the shooting of Judge Stephen Meyer and his wife, or Mayer and his wife Kimberly. They were injured Sunday afternoon at their home out there in Mill Pond Lane, and he got shot in the arm and she got hurt in the hip. I don't know if the bullet went through him to hit her or what. If there was more than one bullet, they don't really tell us specifically, or if she maybe got knocked down in the fray and got hurt her hip. Doesn't matter. She got hurt a little bit, right? Both of them are stable and they're recovering. It looks like they're going to be out soon. Cleaning up the wounds and things like that still left to do, and making sure they're okay. Shooter allegedly used a dog to gain entry, said they had their dog, and multiple agencies, including the FBI, are now involved in this. So there is a long list of potential suspects from the judge's cases. So they're going to go back through every single person that has come in front of the judge who might have something axe to pick with them, so to speak, and see if someone's in there. They'll catch this person somehow or another, I'm sure. We were talking about, I was just talking with some other people about cameras. Doesn't necessarily mean there's cameras everywhere that you're going to see this. Plus, if you cover your face, and then if you're able to get to a spot where there are no cameras and get in your car and leave, they may not ever find out who you are. There is a possibility. And here we are, it's Thursday already, and they still don't know. Or at least we haven't heard that they know at this point. So that's the ongoing manhunt still for Judge Stephen Mayer and his wife Kimberly's shooter. And they shot right through the door. There's another story on here. Just people talking about trying to take care, be safe, excellent medical care for them, and the police investigation still going on. So there we go. There's going to be a rezoning that was approved for new Parkview Health Hospital in West Lafayette. Wow. Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission unanimously okayed the request. It paves way for a major healthcare expansion in the area to serve growing community needs. It's in the JC Online there. The story is that I'm seeing about this. I was hoping I could find a map, but JC Online is a paid site, so I can't go to it and talk about it. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe it'll be on the other ones and we'll figure it out. And then here's one that was pretty exciting that I just found this morning. And my son and I were talking about, using current events and talking about things that were coming. And I was looking at this as we were talking. The 36th annual Purdue Jazz Festival is starting today, right? So it's the 36th annual. It's on from today to the 31st. So there's all kinds of music going to be on in store. The festival starts at 7 p.m. tonight. It's free. The jazz showcase is going to be at the Long Center for the Performing Arts, of course. And the opening concert celebrates local high school musicians from Harrison, Lafayette Jeff, McCutcheon, Lafayette High School, West Lafayette High School, who will perform alongside the Purdue Jazz Band and artists in residence, trombonist Kirby Fellis. I was a trombonist myself, Kirby, so that'd be pretty cool. Headlining the festival is a legendary jazz fusion group, Yellow Jackets. They'll be performing at Load Playhouse on Friday at 8 o'clock. With a 43-year legacy, the Yellow Jackets have released 26 albums, earned 16 Grammy nominations, and established themselves as one of the most influential groups in contemporary jazz. Originally formed in the late 1970s as Robin Ford's backing band, they soon evolved into a powerhouse ensemble. Longtime members involved in this. They are known for continually reinventing themselves while honoring their jazz roots. Yellow Jackets remain a vital force on the global jazz stage. That's pretty cool. I like to hear some of their stuff. I'll probably listen to some of that later. I like some jazz at times, for sure. On Saturday, the 24th, there gonna be more than 100 middle and high school jazz bands from across the Midwest. They're going to be converging on Purdue's university campus for that day for performances and competitions. I remember that happening when I was in school. And the ensembles will compete in various divisions throughout Stewart Center, Purdue Memorial Union, and Elliott Hall of Music. That is great that the college is doing that and getting that together. We used to go to the high schools, and it may be a different type of event, and they still probably do that, go to the high schools for these events in different places. Ours was always in Valpo, it seemed like, because I was up north. But the college is opening itself up, and they may have done this in the past. It's just I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that. The Purdue Jazz Band will present two concerts that are free and open to the public, one at 12:45 in Load Playhouse with artist in residence Kirby Fellis, that's the trombonist, and another at 7 p.m. in Elliott Hall of Music featuring guest artist trombonist Marshall Gilkey. So it's trombone year. All right, I like that. Us trombone guys are getting some information out there, and we're getting some PR, so to speak. And essentially, yeah, essentially Ellington clinicians, Lauren Sevian, she's a baritone saxophone player, and John Reynolds plays the trumpet. He'll also be there. They'll be offering lectures and demonstrations open to all registered festival participants. And that's on Saturday. A lot of that stuff is going down. Um, so pretty cool. You got all kinds of different music going on there, and these people, that's their lives. I remember when I was in high school and middle school, band was a big deal. It was a big deal to me. I was in the jazz band. I was in the choir. I was in as the musicians in the choir for the choir, helping out there. We played the high school. We played the pep bands. I played the marching band. We went to New Orleans to march and the Mardi Gras. We did all kinds of things. What a great experience for people. And so hopefully if your kid is involved in that, they get to see some of those kind of things too. I remember them, many of it to this day. Um, uh, the moniker band geek came around after me. So I was a band geek before there was a band geek, I guess, so to speak. A leather jacket with all my band stuff on it and a little bit of football and baseball stuff here or there. But generally speaking, that was the big thing I did in high school. I don't know if you did or not, but that's what I did. Was that along those lines. It was pretty cool, though. Definitely did enjoy it very much so. Let's see what else is in the news locally. Indiana lawmaker pushes to raise the minimum teacher pay to amid ongoing shortages. So I don't know if that means amid ongoing shortages of teachers or not, but it's Sheila Clinker. That's awesome. She's our representative, prioritizing education this legislative session, filling 5 bills. She's going to file them, not filling them. She's filing them. One aimed at strengthening Indiana's K through 12 school system. House Bill 1170 focuses on teacher pay. The bill would raise Indiana's minimum teacher salary from $45,000 to $60,000, a move Clinker says is necessary to slow the loss of educators to higher paying careers. And I can understand that. We all do that with our jobs at times, move around, go to something that pays more. I got to be honest. I left WLFI at the time because there was a lot more money to go to Antarctica than there was to go to stay at WLFI. I didn't mean I didn't love the job. It paid more, and the timing was right for our family, and it worked out. Um, but I can see this with our teachers. We all think our teachers are underpaid. I'm pretty positive that we're finding that our jobs that are being offered to them include a lot more money and a lot more pay. So she's wanting to bump this up. Teachers still earn about $13,000 less than the national average in the state of Indiana, despite recent raises. And the national average teacher salary is just over $72,000. The gap, Clinker argues, is making it harder for schools to recruit and retain educators. So she's working on that. I know Sheila a little bit just from the years back and when she would come into the TV station all the time, and she is still going from. I've talked to her son. I think it was at a golf course a year or so ago, and he said she's just going on like a little mighty mite. Got to like that. She's got lots of energy. So go get him, Sheila. See if you can get him some extra pay on that front there. So there's that pushing that she's trying to get. What's this? New school officers trained to help TSC students in Lafayette. I like this. I know a couple school officers that are friends of mine that were Marines that love what they do as school resource officers. They're currently undergoing the ones here in Lafayette, training with the National Association of School Resource Officers. The training will focus on the essentials of being an effective SRO and navigating important legal aspects. Deputy Cabero and Deputy McDermott will work on fostering positive relationships with students and staff, serving as mentors, and providing a safe learning environment through their law enforcement skills. So I'm sure they're learning about how to talk with the kids, how to do different things. Always training, a good thing there for the officers. We always like to see that for them as they get the duties and the aspects of what they're doing with their lives, and they learn a bit more about what they're going to be doing with the kids too at times. That's awesome. Training. I hated it when I first got in the Marine Corps. I'm thinking, why do I need to do all this all the time? But as I got older, I realized how training makes you better at whatever you're doing. The more you do it, been doing weather 40 years. I think I'm pretty decent at it by this point. But obviously, in the first 4 days, I wasn't very good at it. So, training, keep moving, train yourself at whatever you are doing to try to be the best that you can be at whatever that is that you are doing at that moment. All right. That's what God asks, and that's what we should ask of ourselves. And that's a hard thing to do. I'm someone who's fighting depression, pain, chronic pain, and to get myself to even get out of bed some days is a tough thing at times. And a lot of my friends know this, and they know this about me. So it's tough to try to stay positive about things sometimes when you don't feel good or so many bad things have happened to yourself. And I find when I study and read some about the Bible, my son got me onto a crazy sermon of somebody from 1750, and read some of that the other night, and that kind of perked me up a little bit because it was very doom and gloom. If I thought I was being doom and gloom, this guy was all about hell and damnation, and it was pretty good, and I was interested in it. So that perked me up, even though it was something doom and gloom, just to see how sermons were from back then. And this is a pretty famous sermon. I might talk about it a little later if we get a chance. Let's see. Indianapolis woman to plead guilty to threatening South Carolina Rep Nancy Mace. And this is a national news, too. Um, she, uh, she said something, I guess, online somewhere or something like that. Um, it says she faces prison time for threatening to kill U.S. Rep. Nancy Mace and blow up her office, the first district congresswoman told reporters Tuesday. A spokesperson for Mace shared a January 14th news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Indiana, which said Shayla Addison, who's 28, had been charged with 2 counts of influencing a federal official by threat. Addison has agreed to plead guilty, according to court records. Prosecutors accused Addison of sending threatening messages last January to representatives' campaign phone number and email and posting additional threats to social media, according to the release. It did not identify the representative at the time. A spokesperson for May shared screenshots of messages that matched quotes in the U.S. Attorney's Office release. According to the release, the threatening text messages included, "We'll kill you," and "tread lightly," and an email threatened to kill you and blow that whole building up. Definitely a problem, right? You can say almost anything you want on the internet, but you cannot threaten people in that type of way. You cannot incite people to go out and riot. You cannot do those kind of things. Um, and obviously, she did that, didn't she? And she's going to pay for it. Well, I don't know what how much time she gets and that kind of thing, but we'll see here. Let's see. Her attorney did not immediately respond to what was going on. There is a plea agreement going on. The government agreed to recommend a sentence on the low end of the range the court calculated. I mean, she's young, 28, after reviewing all of the evidence in exchange for Addison's guilty plea. She was one of 5 Republicans running for governor at the time, and she told reporters Tuesday that she's faced an uptick in death threats in the last year and a half, and as a result, was afraid to go to the grocery store or get out of a car. And I can see that now because it does seem like people are just ready to do whatever. Um, uh, Depending on which side of the aisle you're mad at, right? Okay, so I basically live in hiding, she said, to explain that uptick. And it is true. We haven't heard much of her. Doesn't seem like we've seen her on TV much in the last year or so. And that could be, I don't think she won her race. Maybe she did. Um, Last April, while addressing the Greenville County GOP convention, Mace said she was among the targets of a Pennsylvania man who had been charged the week before with threatening to kill President Trump and other officials. So you see, this is happening all over the place now. And if you're going to threaten to kill somebody, they're going to come after you, right? That's just like the other day when those people went into the church service. You're not allowed to go into the church service like that, so you're going to get in trouble. Don't yell at us about your First Amendment rights. Same thing with threatening someone to kill them. Don't tell me about your First Amendment rights if you're going to tell someone you're going to kill them like that, because that is not allowed. It is not allowed to do that. So she's going to pay the price of something. Who knows what it is, right? And then it goes through nitly of uh, a litany of different ideas and different things that people said to different people here. So the story's pretty long and covers a lot of different things on that front. Wow, that's a lot in that one. But it is one of those things that we're getting nowadays because of social media that I think was out there when I was younger, but we didn't have social media. We just yelled at each other and argued with each other all the time. And then we just went on about our ways. We were fine. Now you can argue on your keyboard and press send and walk away. And I can remember long before we ever got to this point in social media, having to tell some of my friends, this was a military Antarctic group, that kind of thing. Oh, hold on a second. Let's read that uh, email before you send it out. And then they would read it and go, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that. Yep, you better do that. So thought processes when you're mad don't go well, do they? And I'm sure that woman was mad. I'm not sure if she was mad at something. Hopefully, she did not have real plans to do anything to the representative Nancy Mace, but Nancy's from South Carolina, um, but you can't just keep throwing stuff out there like that and not expect some kind of consequences, right? Um, so there's a lot of stuff going on just here locally, right? So there you go. You've got that. That's some of it. Um, we talked about Indiana earlier in the week winning the national championship. We talked about Purdue losing Tuesday night against UCLA when they had a 6-point lead with a minute and a half left. Those kind of things happen. I saw positives and negatives on that front for Purdue from different people. I'm kind of just wish-washy. It's like, some guys are playing bad at times. They'll come back. They'll be fine. It's a long season. You're going to play 40 games. I thought they would lose at least 3. That was my prediction, was 3 for the entire year. They now have lost 2, but that one feels like you had it. I think that's what most people are upset about. They looked like they had the game in their hands and they were going to win it, and they literally kind of gave it away with 2 turnovers, and the other team took advantage. You can't do that, right? So that's what you do. The other team drained 2 threes and a deuce to take the lead, and Purdue couldn't make the last shot to win the game. So that happens. Now they got to set their sights on Illinois coming in on Saturday. We'll have a lot. I'll probably talk a lot about that tomorrow. That isn't weather. Tomorrow will be a lot of weather too. Again, obviously with the system coming in, but it will be a day tomorrow that I also talk about Purdue with the game coming up. Unfortunately, the ladies last night got beat out at UCLA. So UCLA swept the men and the women, and it wasn't pretty. The Purdue women's basketball team dropped its West Coast, and now UCLA was number 3 in the country, so that's understandable, right? They fell 96-48, 96, almost a 50-point blowout. Um, the Purdue did have a trio of players in double figures, though. So Nia Smith had 14, and she notched her third double-digit performance of the year with a pair of three-pointers, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. So solid there. UCLA All-American center Lauren Betts, freshman Avery Gordon, held her own to set a career high in scoring with 13 points on 4 of 4 shooting and 5 of 7 from the line. That is great. That is great. Way to go, Avery. See, it's a building team. I'm excited about what's going to happen next year. I may go out to a couple games this year if we can get a chance. Take the grandsons out there and we'll watch the ladies play later on this season, and then be excited about we're going to see next year. That's for sure. Purdue only shot 33% on the night. Was 3 of 24 from 3-pointers. Something with the rims out there in UCLA, because Purdue's men shot awful too. Between the two of them, they shot about that's barely 12, 14%, 3 of 24. And the men were only like 7 of 29, 7 of 27. That wasn't even 33% either. It was like 25%. So I don't know what UCLA did to their rims out there for the 3-pointers, but we weren't making them on either the men or the women. UCLA had all 5 starters reach double figures. One of them, Gabrielle Jacques, scored 25 points. And the Bruins finished with about 54% shooting. Up next for the ladies, Mackey Arena for the first time in 2 weeks for their matchup with in-state foe who? Indiana, coming to town. And the annual Barn Burner Trophy game will tip off at noon on the Big Ten Network. That's funny. It says there, but it doesn't tell me what time or what day. I mean, it says noon, but it doesn't say what day. Hey, who's at the Purdue website? Go change that so we can see what day it is, the annual Barn Burner Trophy. I'm going to assume it's Sunday, because I believe the men are playing Saturday against Illinois, right? Let me see if I can find their schedule. Ladies' schedule. Got to go down. And here it is. Let's see if I can find it here. All right, Indiana, Sunday. Oh, it's at home. It's at West Lafayette at noon. I was correct. It's Sunday at noon, where the men play on Saturday at I think it's 3:00 in the afternoon for the men. Let's take a quick look at that so we can get that. Men's schedule. Sorry, guys. It takes a little bit to get to a couple places once in a while. Yes, 3 p.m. Saturday, on Saturday, January 24th. So there's a lot going on the campus on Saturday, looks like, with men's basketball going on, women's basketball going on Sunday, and then the big Jazz Fest going on for the entire campus, basically. There'll be lots of high schoolers and jazz people running all over the place. And people with trombones and basses and drums and all kinds of different things. So it'll be pretty nice out there. Oh, good. I got a couple people here. Um, how politically correct does this need to be? Is what Brandon was talking about when I was talking about, yeah, the stuff earlier. And oh, the Off Our Rockers group says hi. Hey, everybody out there. I don't know if you're still listening or not. That was a little bit ago. I don't have the chat up there. I got to leave the chat up so I can see it, so I know what's going on there. And Brandon totally agrees, 100% agrees with me. You are in our prayers. Oh, thanking. Yeah, how tough it is with pain, I think is what he's talking about there. Thanks, guys, for getting in there. I appreciate all the people that are starting to take a look at it. And with the weather being like it is, hopefully I'm your number one source. Hey, Chad, we love Chad out there too, but I'm your winter weather expert. All right. So I'm the guy you want to come to. Let's, as a matter of fact, let's get into it. We're now it's 10:20. Let's hit some of the highlights of what the weather's going to be like. I'm going to go to that right now. Let me go over here, change our charts out. There we go. Oh, wrong one. Oh, that's the right one. How did that get on front of there? Main. PNP music full screen. Well, there's the full screen, and it should have me in the picture in a corner. I know I'm talking. I'm just yakking around. There's the main screen that you guys can't see. Let me zip that over. The PNP does not show that in front. Oh, I know what it is. Here it is. There we go, like that. Then I got to go to here. Now we can see what's going on. Hopefully, you're seeing me with a picture of me in the corner. I just had that January 22nd slide up, and it was in between, and so it popped up first. Uh, I'll be able to know that shortly as I see it on my screen here because there's a delay on it that I see. January 24th. No, it's 24 degrees on January 22nd. Getting me a little something to drink. There we go. There's me for a second. So I'm on like a 20-second or 40-second delay before I see it here on. So I don't know sometimes whether it's changing charts or not sometimes, and that throws me off a little bit, as you would expect, right? It's 24 outside right now under sunny skies. 31 is the expected high, at least on this model. And look at this. You don't see anything on here above 14 over the next week. And if I go out a little farther and I go out to the point where we can look at the map of the calendar, so to speak, and this one shows entirely what happened during the month, and then it shows you what it thinks is going to happen for the rest of the month. And after today's 31, I don't see anything above 14, 16 degrees on there for the next 2 weeks. So it looks like February before we're going to actually see another temperature above freezing at this point, and is what we're going to see. Now, I keep seeing the Let's Talk Lafayette on there. It has not changed over yet. I'm a little bummed by that. Let's see what happened here, because that's not what's on my screen. Let me switch out here. Come back to here, guys. Display capture. That's probably what. No. Audio, video, media source, display capture. Well, I'm going to try it. I'm probably end up losing the picture in picture. Watch. Yeah, I went to blank, but does it have a main screen on it? So I'm working it. I'm trying to get them all in here. I'm trying to see what's going on. I need the main screen in there. Where is the main screen? Scene shot, main image. Let's see if I switch this over, it goes from black to the screen. No, it comes back to this January 22nd. That is not what I had in here before. Now it's everywhere. All right, let's go back to the main screen. All right, as I'm talking here, I'm going to try to figure out why I cannot see my main screen anymore and what's going on with the picture in picture. And I'll have to figure out where the media source comes from. Should say browser, right? Browser? No. Create new, don't want that. Da, da, da. Media source. Okay. No, desktop doesn't help. That doesn't work. All right, guys, I'm talking through it as you guys are listening and laughing at me. I got two media sources listed on here now. I don't need that one. Let's get rid of it. It wasn't media source. Where did my screen go? Scene, media source, text, video, window capture. Is that what it is? Let's click on it. Control box. Okay, yeah. Here, maybe this is what it is. Untitled scenes, window, cursor, desktop. Did it show me the desktop? No, it shows me a black screen. Okay, Big Sur Mountains desktop picture. That's the back picture, guys. I'm going through these while you guys are listening to me. Lafayette, Indiana weather, Chrome, Google. Okay, that might work for now. That'll get us through it, I think. Let's see if that gets us through it. We lost my little picture in picture, though, I think. Where'd my picture in picture go? All right, Indiana, media source. No. Window capture down to the bottom. There we go. That puts me at least back in the picture. It's not the same picture I had, but it will work here. There we go. Nope, it came back with the January 22nd on top of it. Where is that? Why is that coming up? Wasn't there an hour ago, right? I don't see it on here. That's got to be the media source too, and let's get rid of it. There we go. Now let's try it again. One more try. There we go. It was media source 2 that was locked in there somehow or another. Yeah, I don't have it stretched out like it was before. You're seeing a lot of the top stuff here. Maybe I'll fix that when I come back out. But let's take a look at some of this stuff here, weather-wise, of what's going on. All right, let's go back. Let me change my mind here. Let's go back here and then let me stretch this out so that you'll be able to see it easier. When I come back on here, we'll go back up and you won't have to see all the gibberish that's on there. Let's see. That should work there. All right, now let's go back over here. There we go, guys. Now I got it a little more straightened out. You'll be able to read what's going on. I can tell you what I was talking about without you going, what is he doing again? He's messing up. What is his problem? This guy. 24 degrees right now under partly sunny skies. I was talking about, we've all seen these weather bugs, and these weather bugs basically just tell us a generality of what's going to happen. It picks out the highest temperature it can find, lowest, so on and so forth. But when you go down and look, like it's got a calendar here that shows you what happened during the month. This is the month of January. Obviously, these are all the highs and lows. Look at this, 63 degrees back on the 8th. And here we are today looking for a high of 31. Yesterday's high officially ended up being 42. But the highs the rest of the week, 3, 9, 14, 4, 16, 14, 8, 7, 14. What do you notice there? Nothing in the 20s even after today. And when I go look at the chart over here and I look at this big dip right here. So here is today. This up and down line is today. These are your average lows. This is the dash line here for the average lows. This is the dash line for average highs. And over the next week, basically, boom, just bottoms out. But it looks warmer now for February than it did yesterday. Yesterday didn't show it quite this warm. And the second little batch in the middle of February doesn't. It looks a little warmer than it did yesterday, too. But again, remember, that's 2 weeks to a month out, so all kinds of changes. And that's where we are, at least on this front with this chart. That chart, it just kind of shows you what's happening at the moment. If I really want to see what's happening out at the airport, I come over here to this, and I try to see what's happening. So here's Indianapolis. It's 22 degrees with a dew point of 7. Winds are 290 at 12. Lafayette, we're at 22 degrees. Our winds are at 10 knots, so that gives you wind chills right around 5 to 10, depending on where you're at, and any gusts involved with that. We see no snow in the state anywhere. That would show up over here. There's nothing. Lots of the sensors are reporting clear, or that broken cloud deck that we saw on the satellite chart that I'm getting ready to show you here in a second. So a pretty quiet morning throughout most of the area. And I'll hit that satellite shot real quick. You can see the mid-level clouds right here running through the state. Lafayette's right there underneath the cursor. Kind of nice to see. We can see the clear skies. This is an infrared shot. The visuals are just starting to pick up because we're just an hour or two now after sunrise. Actually, it's about 3 hours, but it takes a little bit for us to get the visuals to come in pretty good. We do see some clouds out to our west. We may take just a few flurries tonight. Is still possible when this little wave of band of clouds comes through. But generally speaking, nothing in the forecast other than cold. So once this band of clouds zips on through tonight, we're going to get into the open area back here. And notice how the temperatures change and turn white as it goes to the north. Well, it's starting to warm up, right? You're actually seeing the temperature on the ground in these cold temperatures here. Clouds are colder than the ground, generally speaking, but up here, the ground is so cold, it's showing the same temperatures as the clouds in many places. So that gives you an indication. We're also starting to see an influx of more high clouds coming in down through Texas, over through Kansas, that are starting to show up on the Rocky Mountains from the system that will eventually set up tomorrow and then head towards us on Saturday and through Sunday as it moves off towards the East Coast. And then we'll see what happens with it as it gets closer. There is an advisory out today. I'm going to go to Lafayette here. Let's go back to Lafayette. Well, where did I miss it? Click on it there. Cold weather advisory from 1 a.m. tonight till 1 p.m. tomorrow. A very cold wind chills as low as 21 below, it says, and portions of central, east central, north central, west central Indiana. The dangerously cold wind chills as low as 20 below zero could cause frostbite on exposed skin in as little as 30 minutes. Very cold temperatures can lead to hypothermia with prolonged exposure. Use caution while traveling outside. Wear appropriate clothing, a hat, gloves, keep pets indoors. Um, I've known a lot of people that have been, and I've heard lots of stories being through the weather field and all that. When people die in the cold, a lot of times it's because they were not prepared in the first place. I can remember there was a man here, I think this was when I was at the TV station, who went off the road on the interstate and decided he was going to walk somebody's house in a distance, and he ended up freezing to death out there. I believe he was maybe intoxicated too, so that had something to do with it. Drinking does not warm you up. It makes you actually colder. People don't realize that, but for some reason, there's this folklore out there that it warms you up. Maybe that initial drink makes you feel a little warm, but it actually chills your body and makes you colder. But I can remember the story about that guy trying to walk and ended up dying. And we're going to have very cold, very, very cold temperatures and wind chills in the next week. We are going to have potentially some blizzard condition possible. Yes, what I mean by blizzard is we're going to have snowfall, 20 to 25 mile an hour winds, possibly, which will pick up that snow, blow it all over the place. And that could create blizzard type conditions where your visibility drops below a quarter mile at times. That could be Sunday. That could be into Monday. We'll have to keep an eye on that right now, but that's something I'm definitely cognizant of. And a lot of it has to do sometimes with the weight of the snow. If it's a wetter snow, it doesn't blow around as much. It takes 30 to 40 knots to move it around. But at 20 knots, which is 25 miles an hour, you can blow up snow very easily and drop your visibility to a quarter mile by the time it hits 25. So, and a lot of it just has to do with the type of snow. And this could be a very cold, dry, fluffy snow that comes down because we are so cold. So there's a satellite picture showing everything right now. We zoom in a little closer. Lafayette's right about here. Looks like there's a little bit of cloud cover in spots over us, but generally speaking, these are clear skies. Let's see if I got anything on the satellite for the initial. There you go. The visual starts to show up, and I'm going to stop it on the last picture here. All right. We saw that how it went. Whoops, thought I had it. There we go. We saw how it changed from you could not see the ground. Now, the ground in here is enhanced to be bluish, so you can see it easier. You can see the rivers in here really easy, right? You can follow the rivers. They're darker. But look at this. Look at this swath of snow. This is snow on the ground that we're seeing right here, right? You can see rivers going through it, rivers. You can see cities in places. Sometimes you can see highways. The lake effect snow has been very heavy. So you can see it. LaPorte County, over to South Bend, Plymouth, all the way down towards Argus, north of Grissom, right in that area, over towards Peru, a very heavy snow band that showed up on there. And it's probably even worse north of that, where it's continuing to snow. As you can see, the snow and clouds coming off the lake and more snow falling probably in Benton Harbor, up in Michigan itself. But for us, we're basically clear skies. You can see the Tippecanoe River and the Wabash cutting through pretty easily, the two of them, and then joining up somewhere right there in northeastern Tippecanoe County, and then Lafayette's right about here with a little bit of cloud cover over us. Let's go ahead and loop that out. And you'll see how the ground starts to show up as the sun comes up. So that's why you don't see much ground, and then you start to see a little bit of ground because this is more of a visual shot, but we are enhancing the colors on the visual shot. So for me, I can see the blue very easy. When it's green, a lot of times it's hard for me to pick out different colors. And then the top is enhanced to a little bit of reddish color or a yellowish color there, light color for that. Let's go to our models, our new models. Let's see if anything's news coming in. It's what, 10:30. So we're going to have some bits and pieces of some of the new stuff. Let's look at the 14Z real quick for temperatures for tomorrow morning and see, because this only goes out 18 hours. So it'll go out to early mornings. Let's see where we have surface temperature. There we go. All right, so this is for tomorrow morning, and this is at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it doesn't quite make it to the bottoming out, but we're already down to like 10 degrees by 3 in the morning, and 5 is right there. And these temperatures are being pushed, and everything's coming this way. How much cloud cover will come off the lake? Well, the winds look like they're a little more northwesterly, which means we will probably stay out of the cloud cover. And there will be some light snow coming off of that, and we'll be in the open, which will allow for the temperature to get colder, much colder, very quickly. The new 12Z run is starting to come out on this. Let's see what it is. The NAM Nest for today. Oh, it's good. It's out. It's all the way out. So the NAM Nest is showing that temperature at 3 o'clock in the morning. Same thing. It's showing a little bit warmer. Shows it more like 17. And then it kind of bottoms out and goes down to 2 degrees right in there. Since the NAM is now all the way in for this time frame, let's take a look at what it says for its winter weather precipitation as we get closer and closer, because it's now going to push out into Sunday a little bit, I believe. And you can see the advancing system coming. Does not look like a sphinx anymore, but we see these shoots of precipitation coming out in front of the system starting to pop. And their first snowfall by that is Saturday afternoon. Okay, that it shows 18Z, which is 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. First chances of snowfall now that the NAM. Remember, the NAM 2 days ago said we wouldn't get any snow. Now it's starting to say it's going to snow by 2 p.m. on Saturday. And then it goes out to, it doesn't get, look at this. It's kind of broken up though. See this? Runs along us. So we're really close to the line of nothing. There, it looks like even later into the evening hours, we'll open up again for a bit before this next batch of snow comes in, as it's coming west to east too. And so, and you know what the influence of that is? That's the high to our north, influence with dry air, cold, dry air, helping to influence to dry up some of the snowfall too. So that's what the NAM is showing, starting as early as that time frame on Saturday afternoon for the snowfall. Now, at that time, it's not fully through the system, but by then it says we're not going to have more than a trace to a quarter, half inch kind of thing. So that's not going to drop a lot. It's also not showing a lot with that behind the system there. It's all the heavy stuff is south down here. Now, look where it's pointed to. This is pointed more into Kentucky this time on the NAM. We'll see where it settles in the next, because it'll go out to another. No, it's all the way out. So it's 60 hours on the NAM Nest. Let's see if the NAM, is it done? It's done too. And the NAM Nest is, or the NAM is now pointing right along the Ohio River too, and just into northern Kentucky for that time frame. Shows us with about a half an inch of snowfall by Saturday afternoon. And then let's see how it starts to stretch out the snowfall. Comes closer to us, but it doesn't show much. But then it shows an increase Sunday morning, starting to snow. 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, now pushing towards that 6-inch mark by Sunday afternoon. You can find 6.2 very close. Indy, 7 inches. Downstate, 12 to 14 inches. And then there's going to be pockets of like 17 in Arkansas. And the same thing, once the whole thing moves through, there'll be some really heavy amounts near Cincinnati, northern Kentucky, southern Indiana. So it's starting to line up to be right there along the Ohio River, which is around 5 inches of snow potential. Remember, this is not even the end of the snow, though. This is Sunday afternoon. When we look at it, the surface, and we go back to the winter weather where everything is at, precipitation type, by this time frame, look at, we're in a hole, yes, but you can see how we're going to have some heavy amounts. So the NAM shows, boom, there's a chance of snow starting Saturday afternoon. It's kind of light overnight, but it does come through. It shows a little drier spot in there, here or there. See there we are, same as the other one was showing. It's kind of hit and miss overnight, Saturday night into Sunday. So we'll wake up Sunday morning going, oh, it's not that bad, Brian. I don't believe it. And then boom, it's going to start snowing around 7, 8 o'clock. And this, as you can see, is thicker. This is thicker now. You're getting a push of the low is here. It's trying to drag up all this moisture up into our area. Our winds will be out of the east. It'll still be very cold up here, and it'll start dropping that snow everywhere. And now we're in some more heavier amounts, and you can see how it's going to be, especially on this shot here. All your heavy snow is right here, all your ice, your mixture of ice and snow. Then there's rain down here into Tennessee, Kentucky. It looks like most of Tennessee is going to miss out on this, for my friends down there. And then you're going to see the snow heavy up towards Indiana, and it continues. A good shot there. That's into Sunday evening now. And while it shows what I say, close to 6 inches for us by that time frame, we still have this back here. And my and we have some strong gusty winds that will be in the area by that time frame too. As you can see, the isobars are pretty close. Let's go to precipitation real quick on that, see if I can get the SOP, and then I can see how close it is. You can see the heaviest moisture. It's lighter back here. So we'll tack on another half inch to an inch or two with this stuff back here. All the heavy stuff looks to fall during the day on Sunday, through the NAM right now. So the NAM is coming out and starting to show us what it thinks. And now it's coming closer to the European. How far is the European? It hasn't even started yet. So we're not going to see anything from the European yet, or at least they don't have the initial portions of in it yet. So we don't know yet. The GFS, it also, oh, it has started, but it's only 7% done. Let's see how much that gets us. That only gets us 30 hours and doesn't help us much, does it? So that's not going to help, at least for now. So those are your models for the moment, and those are your updates. Still shows cold, shows like they're coming back online with the chance for the snow. When we go and look at how our totals, does look like there could be 5 inches in store for us potentially. Okay, so here's your snow accumulation. We take it out to the end, right? 5.6. There's different ways to look at it too. The colder it is, um, the smaller the grains are a lot of times. The warmer it is, the bigger the snowflakes are, so they can be more amounts. So there's different ways to go about it. But every tenth of an inch of rainfall usually is 1 inch of snow. That's the way we kind of do it in the weather world. That's on the averages. There's a professor out there. His name was Kuchera. He came out with total snow amounts, and this is what his says. And his shows us 9.8 inches. And he shows the strike zone a little farther north instead of right along the river for the deepest snowfalls. It shows it just out between Indianapolis and Louisville, right? And lots of mix in there. And he shows us in the 10-inch range. That's in the Kuchera amounts. Okay, so Kuchera is, and I believe he's a scientist, some kind of meteorologist scientist who's been working on these kind of things for long, long periods. He shows 10 inches by that time frame, and what he's done is his way he goes about getting the amounts of snow is just slightly different in his algorithm than the other one is. That's why we see differences. Sometimes he's dead on too with that. So we get to see two of them usually with those two. So the GFS and the European model will have a lot more information in about 45 minutes, and we should be able to see out to Sunday to see what we think is going to happen on that front. Man, I've been telling Raj for a couple days. I've been leaning more and more towards the snowfall coming and coming. Where on Monday it was showing 0 and it was showing 10. It was hard to figure it out. And then yesterday I was telling him on Tuesday that we were going to looking like more like a chance of snow. And yesterday and last night when I talked with him, we were shooting a baptism video. That it was looking more and more like we were going to get snow. This is making me think more and more like snow. The North American model saying that. Gutierrez says 10. The actual model itself says around 6. So that's 6 to 10 inches potential there. And that's the lowest right now. The GFS is really changed itself. So I'm not sure if I can trust it right now because it went from like 10 inches to nothing. Almost from this morning. And then the European model has been hammering us the whole time with 10 inches. So we'll have to see how it comes together tomorrow. But right now, it looks like some snow starts Saturday afternoon, it snows through Sunday evening into Monday morning, potential there, and 5 to 7 inches right now, maybe even as much as 9 if you look at Kucheras. So there's a lot there to that. That's for sure. A lot of information on the weather front there. I wish it wasn't like this. I love storms, though, winter storms, right? In this case, the closer we get, the less I'm going to vary from what I see on the models, too, right? That's why I was telling Roger out on Monday. I didn't think I would see a big change, and I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon yet because there was such a broad area of what we were looking at. We've all seen these if you've been here any time frame in the last 10 to 20 to 30 years. We've seen these systems come up from the southwest like this. We call them Texas lows, but the low is actually out in California right now. Matter of fact, let's go take a quick look out there. We'll go to the continental sectors. It kind of shows you this. I think you're going to be able to see this on the chart. You should be able to. There's a low pressure system off the coast of California right now, and it's throwing moisture on there. We're also seeing a developing low pressure system in New Mexico. And yesterday, I told you about how when a trough goes through and you could kind of string out behind it where everything is at. And if you draw a line from where that front was yesterday, it's up over New England right now, over Boston, right? And you kind of string out the clouds. See this, how it goes down along, cuts right along through here. And then it comes into the cloud cover into New Mexico, right? And Arizona. And then where's that low? That low wants to track right up through that spot, barring any big changes from another system. And I've seen this before many times. It doesn't always do that, but right now that's where it's lining itself up to. And sure enough, the model is saying it's going to run right through that spot, right? Right through here, curve it right here and curve it right up to the other one. Is there an actual frontal boundary there? No, there probably isn't. You might be able to find something here or there, but generally speaking, there is a borderline of something there, right, between the two systems. The continuous frontal theory is out there. I've seen that and heard about that, and this kind of fits with that. So we have high pressure up to our north, and we're spinning low little troughs of low snow every once in a while across us. But generally speaking, we're just really cold. They're warm to the south. They're cold for this time of the year, but they're warm to the south. They're even warmer down towards Florida, down towards Miami, and then we're going to see this system develop out here in Arizona. I can change here too. Let's take a look at this. Let's go to our charts real quick, and I'm going to change and go to out to the west. All right. Okay, here's the snowfall on the west. Matter of fact, let's just go bigger. Let's go contiguous United States, and then go precipitation types. It shows me the low pressure systems, and then we go to what's happening. Sorry about that, guys. Nose, old man, it's running. So there you go. Here we are today, right? Here we are Thursday afternoon. We can kind of see a semblance of the low pressure system that's coming ashore in California, and another one trying to develop in Arizona or New Mexico. Hard to pinpoint which one is doing what, but watch over the next 24 hours. We'll see something significant start to pop up, and you can see a kink right here, which was kind of drawn from where that low was in New Mexico. And then bam, the kink starts to get bigger and bigger. And all around that kink on the backside of the Rocky Mountains, where the low pressure system is starting to build itself and get stronger on Friday, we start to see the moisture there. And then we start to push it out, and we start to get a closed low. We start to get at least a bump in there, and it's a whole system. It doesn't really show it as a closed low right now, but you'll probably be able to find something somewhere along here. There'll be one here. There'll probably be a second one back here, secondary. And then it will move right up through that spot. You notice how it's following right along that line I talked about through the Ohio Valley, and it's spreading right through there. And now you can see a closed low in Mississippi, right? And towards Alabama, moving that way, you can see it, and you can see the kink. It shows a kink, this trough right here, but that's could be a low pressure system there. And then it'll pass to our south. And now we have like 3 different lows in there that you're going to pick out, but it'll probably be a little more general than that. That's Sunday afternoon, and all the influence through the entire eastern coast of the United States. And then we get into Sunday evening, and we see that the low is now past us, right? And we have high pressure back here, which is going to try to push in behind the system. And this high back here over Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota will dive itself into our area the following day, Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, right? And it's going to get real cold then. That's how the big broad picture looks. That's that West Texas low. Remember, it looked disorganized. We saw a trough, but it's probably a low pressure system in there, but they all started right here and then they moved across. And that was all from the system that starts out here today, that's out in California and is settling itself in. You could probably follow a track pretty close and get yourself to follow the low, which once it hits the mountains in California and around here, gets very disorganized, falls apart, but then it reorganizes itself because of the time of the year it is, and can reorientate itself and set itself up. And the model saw this a week ago. It just had the timing way off. It had it happening 2 days ago. and it's now coming to fruition and come into our area for Saturday, it looks like, into Sunday. So, and we're fine tuning it. It's a pretty big storm. I don't like where it is now. If it continues on the progression northerly, and what's going to happen now is it's going to be smaller, right? So if it's like right on the Ohio River, the next one might be just barely above the Ohio River for the thickness of snow and where the thickest band of snow will be. I kind of like to follow that. That gives me an idea of what we'll have where we're at. And the trend in the last 48 hours has been to bring it north, right? So if that trend continues, it'll probably be smaller because we're now pinpointing it, or it's just going to stay in that general area right around where we are now over the next 48 hours as it comes in. And we'll see what happens. I don't see a big swing where it could come all the way up to Lafayette, the low, and 15 inches of snow. Uh, and I don't see a big drop to the south either. We're kind of getting into this corridor where it is, and that means we're going to get some snow out of it. National Weather Service will have updates on that too over the period. So, pretty big system, but now you got to see kind of how it brews and where it starts. Even it's a low pressure system off the coast of California today, but by the time it gets to us, it's going to be this thing, this big monster coming through. All right. This this is a classic look to the system. Low pressure here, and another one out in front. All this snow on the top half of it, all this rain, even some thunderstorm potential back down here to the south. We haven't even talked about that. They may have thunderstorms down here in Alabama, Mississippi along this, with the cold difference between the cold air and the warm air to the south. It is after January 1st, so we're heading towards spring where we start to see more thunderstorms. You can see thunderstorms any day of the year, but we see more obviously in the spring, and then there's a secondary uh, thunderstorms in the fall, which aren't as strong as they are in the spring, obviously. And we get most of our tornadoes in the spring also. So, but where we think of our spring as March, April, May for our thunderstorms up here, down south, it's January, February, March, right? So here we are in January. They have potential for tornadoes and thunderstorms down there. It's so it kind of moves itself a little farther north as the weather gets warmer, and it's just averages. It's just averages. It's nothing in climate change or anything like that. It's just kind of how things set up. Earlier tornado season usually to the south, a later tornado season to the north. That's just a generality. You still can get tornadoes in November out here. Same thing for us. Okay. You can get a tornado out in California once in a while. Doesn't happen very often, but they can see it out there. So that's it. 10:52. That's the weather play for right now. Let's go back to see if we can talk about a few other things. My voice is starting to give out. Who's out there? Give me a shout out there. All right, real quick. I see Brandon. I don't know if Brandon's still in there or not, but hey, great to see you on there, buddy. I love talking with Brandon when I get a chance. And I stumble over my voice because I'm trying to get something to drink at the same time and come back out to this picture for a little bit, even though it scares everybody. The close up of Brian. We don't want that too much, do we? Let's go back to see if there's any more headlines we could talk about, just some things that are out there. Again, Trump declares U.S. gets total access to Greenland. Let's look at the story here real quick, see what he's got, see if we got some of the plans, because I think the plans are starting to come out. I'm sure it's bases. I'm sure it's some work on some minerals. Let's see what it says. The president promised that part of America's Golden Dome missile defense system will be built in Greenland. It's part of the deal. Essentially, it's total access to the continent. Well, it's not a continent, it's an island. Trump told Fox Business anchor Maria Bartiromo on Thursday morning during an interview at the World Economic Forum, there's no end, there's no time limit to it. I'm not going to have to pay anything, Trump added. We're going to have total access to Greenland. And this is good for Europe and for the United States. That's why, and this is where we were going. But they weren't going to give him anything and allow him to do anything until he started putting his foot on the gas, right? So he had to kind of do that. And it started with Maduro. It's working to Greenland. Cuba might end up in this picture, although I think they're just going to let it fail on its own. And then China and Russia have had pressure put on them along with Iran, and we've seen what's been going on in Iran. And I don't see any Iran stories today. So Iran is really knocking down the information getting out there about what they're doing to their people. But Trump says we're going to have all military access that we want. We're going to be able to put what we need on Greenland because we want it. We're talking about national security and international security. And Europe does see that. They do understand how the difference and what that means to them, too, because it is something that they don't want the other countries to get, which could affect them so dramatically, right? Negotiations with NATO are in preliminary stage, and the exact terms of the final agreements still remain unclear. But the U.S. military has multiple bases throughout the Danish territory, with leeway to establish more in the future, according to multiple reports. And that's exactly what I told you was going to happen. We were going to end up with bases, and somehow we'll end up being able to get some of the uh, stuff that's there, right? The iridium that's there, and some of the minerals that are there that they have. He did not give real details on the mineral rights yet, but they will share, would work with the U.S. to build his. Oh, Trump did not immediately give details of the deal, but said NATO would work with the U.S. to build his Golden Dome missile defense system and share mineral rights. If the bad guys start shooting, it comes over Greenland. Trump told Bartiromo, so we knock it down, as that's what we'll do. So obviously, our Golden Dome system we believe in a lot, and it's up over I believe we're using it in Alaska, right? And parts of Canada. So now we're going to have some more support over the Greenland area. Trump's latest statement also comes after he pulled back hefty tariffs on European countries as part of his initiative to take over Greenland. And they said he backed down. He didn't back down. He got what he wanted. He negotiated it. He just used it as a tactic. That's what the man does. He's you. If you don't know that by now, I'm not sure what to tell you. Um, Everything is over the top to get something less, but something that he wants, and they got what he wanted. On Wednesday, Trump said additional discussions were ongoing regarding Greenland, and that Vice President Vance and Secretary Rubio and Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, were responsible for the negotiations. So they'll be doing the talking. And the deal will be out pretty soon, right? It gets us everything we needed to get, he insisted, and it's a deal that everybody's very happy with. So there you go. Everybody who was complaining and whining and trying to show how strong they were because Trump was talking about taking the military in there knew on the background that this is how it was going to happen. All the leaders knew this. All the people who were involved that were in charge of all this knew this is exactly where it was going. But the media got all in a frenzy. We're going to attack Greenland. All the people on the internet got upset. And I and many other people told you the same things. It wasn't going to end up that way. So was that you talk tough and you carry a big stick if you need it. And that's what he does. And everything he's doing is trying to get for the United States, whether you understand that process or not. He's trying to get stuff for the United States. I go back to the Maduro thing. He got Maduro out of there, yes, for drugs, but China was starting to show its influence in Venezuela, and that's really close to us. We don't want that. We don't want the Chinese or Russian influence in South America or in North America at all, right? Despite it happening under our noses. And I've got some stories for you guys that are, I don't know if I'll get into them today, but they're kind of crazy. That new book coming out, Invisible Coup. Invisible Coup. There's a lot more going on. And we're not talking just about how our own government tried to stop Trump from getting into the office, right? Because there's portions of that. This is talking more about how China and Mexico, I didn't know the story about Mexico's influence on how they're trying to take over the country. There are people in the Mexican government who believe that California, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas are all theirs. And they're slowly infiltrating people into it until they slowly take it over. And they've been doing this for 40 years or more. And they talk about it openly to themselves. They have songs about it that they play at rallies. And none of us have known about this, right? Of the takeover, right? They think they're going to be taking everything back. That's a silent coup, right? I understand some feelings about that. It was 150 years ago that all this went down. What are we worried about? You know, that's the way I look at it. We took this land from so and so. Well, land everywhere has been taken from everybody. That's the way it works. I wasn't here 250 years ago to have any part of that. So I'm in the United States. It's been here since I've been here, and that's all I know, right? But Mexico's infiltrating, and the Chinese have been bringing in and having 100,000 babies born per year for about 20 years. That means 1 million new people, right, that are now U.S. citizens, but their families report back to China. And they did this on purpose because now some of them can vote. And eventually they'll have it was a slow takeover. Remember, China always does things slow. They're in the long haul for everything. If it took 100 years, they were slowly going to take over the United States. Whether this book pops anything out and tells people what's going on and people really pay attention to it, or if they really believe it's more of a theory, he's got in the book has all the details, has all the numbers, shows all the details from the Mexican government, from the Chinese government, and it talks about a lot. I haven't read the book; I've just heard the highlights. So you go out and read it yourself and decide for yourself. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to wait. I wait 24, 48 hours for sure on everything. And in this one, I got to wait and kind of see if it comes out in the news and it's pretty more consistent here in the next week or so about it. The book is number one on the bestsellers book already on the list. It just came out yesterday, I think. Um, Maybe it'll be true. We'll have to see on that. But that just goes to show you that there are bad people in the world, no matter where they are, that are trying to get things they want. There are bad people in the United States doing that. There are bad people in Mexico, China, everywhere. And those of us who want to stay out of the mix and want to just have our lives and, find God and do what we want to do and help people and that kind of thing, we're going to get caught in the crossfire of all of this eventually. So you need to kind of know what's going on with that. That's why I bring it up. That's why I think it's important for us to know what's going on in the world and what's going on in our own neighborhoods, from jazz fests to us taking over Greenland, right? We need to know that kind of stuff so we can be prepared. And I'm not talking preppers building that kind of stuff. If you want to do that, go ahead. You're a big prepper, but you do need to be prepared in case something happens. What if we were go without power for a month here? Are you guys prepared? Are you ready for it? Who has a generator? Who doesn't? Who can hook it into their house? Who can't? Do you have some kind of propane heaters? Do you have food? What the food services go down for a month because of something? Maybe there's just this storm comes through and it's even more cataclysmic than they're showing it is. And we get 4 feet of snow and we can't move for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Are you prepared and ready to go? We don't think that's what's going to happen, obviously, but you see what I'm saying. Are you ready for anything like that? Um, to get yourself through 2 weeks or a month without power. A lot of us have to go through it different places. Hurricanes, they do it all the time when they run into hurricanes down there and they go across the shore somewhere. A lot of times it takes people's houses out and you won't have a house. Just be prepared. Be ready for different scenarios popping up. Does not mean you need to build a bunker, but you can do that if you would like. If that's what your big deal is, go for it. Have at it. I'm to the age I'll let my grandsons build it for me. All right, luckily they're not listening. They're in school right now. I don't have to worry about that. Although maybe the little ones are watching. Hi, if you're out there watching, the little ones. um, so I'm looking through the news feed and I'm looking at different things. Not much has changed on the news feed, obviously. Okay, I had never heard of. Is it still here? I had the story there. I pressed refresh and it disappeared. Here it is. YouTube star Mrs. Rachel. All right, right. I didn't know who Mrs. Rachel was until I had really young grandkids now, and so now I know who she is. Apparently, she liked some post, and it was anti-Semitic, and now she's out there explaining how she accidentally liked an anti-Semitic post. Well, I guess in the world when you're at that stage and you're big like that, you got to worry about those kind of things. But first off, why were you looking at it? I don't know. It pops up on X. I see stuff come by all the time. I just go keep crossing through it because you get so much junk on X sometimes of people throwing things out there that you got to watch out for. But who knows? We'll have to see. Hopefully, Miss Rachel's okay, and she can continue to teach our kids, and she's not an anti-Semite. So I don't think she is my guess. We talked about the new Democratic governor of Virginia coming in like a Bond villain, so to speak, and starting off doing the same thing that Trump does. And now we're going to see this everywhere. Every governor is going to come in and write these things and say the state will do this and do that. And it'll end up in court. All these woke policies will start over in these states, and all these conservative policies will start in the other states. And we'll just go through this every time we change sides is what's going to happen. So let's say Trump gets out and J.D. Vance loses to whoever the liberal side is, whoever the Democrat is, right? As soon as that Democrat gets in there, they're going to start writing all these things again, getting rid of everything Trump did and try to go the other direction. And they're going to go even harder. than they did under the Biden administration, right? But if Vance is in there, he's just going to continue on forward with what he thinks Trump's vision is and his vision is of what the country's going to be. So we'll kind of be a bit calmer for a while. Yes, everybody on the left will be upset. But if we swap out, then everybody on the left will be happy and everybody on the right will be upset, right? And they'll take it to the extremes. That's where we've gotten in our world, taking it to the extremes. The Uvalde police officer, we talked about that last hour. He was found not guilty of child endangerment for his response to the elementary school shooting. And I believe a lot of that has to do with they didn't go in initially right away. That took them time to go in. They weren't sure what was happening. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. They were charged, but it sounds like the jury decided it was a tough decision and they found him not guilty. So hopefully that will stop the end of that case. That was, any of our shootings are terrible. There was another funny one. The Republican Senator Ted Cruz out of Texas. The last time they had a storm, I think it was 2021. They lost their power there. They got wind turbines there in the state. All the wind turbines went down. All this stuff, and he was out on vacation. And he had gone to somewhere in Mexico on vacation, and so he got dogged for being in Mexico when the state was going down. Well, here we got this storm getting ready to come in, and they show him flying on a plane. There's a picture of him leaving to go Acapulco or somewhere warm, obviously, because it's winter. You go on winter vacations, and you go somewhere warm. He's going to get it again, so I think that's pretty funny too. And he's a Republican. Isn't that funny? I see. We can laugh at both sides. We don't have a problem at all. That's pretty funny. So. That's where I said he's got to come home to his wife. Hey, honey, we're gonna have to put the vacation off. She's like, what for? There's a big storm coming in. Well, we're trying to miss a storm. We want to be in warm. Yeah, but this is a big one. I don't want to look bad again. But he's going anyway, probably, because it shows him on the plane. So let's see. Trump says Iran halted 837 hangings after he issued nasty threat as our U.S. moves aircraft carrier to the Middle East. And I know it's there now. We've heard about that. We knew it was only going to take a week. And once they got in closer, they turned their transponder off. So no one knows where it is. I'm sure they kind of have a good idea where it is. But we, as just the general public, can't follow where it is. That's there. We're set up to do something to Iran if we need to. We want to help the people that are there. We would like that regime to change, mainly because they're mean to their people, for one. Communism is like that. Dictators are like that. And they're going through way worse conditions than we have ever seen here in the United States for their country, money-wise, what they can do in their country. They continually talk about destroying Israel. Nobody can have that. You don't want somebody out there saying they're going to bomb the other country and just obliterate them once they get the bomb. So it would be nice to go back to they didn't have a dictatorship. They had a royal family, I believe, before in 1979 when they came and took over. But Tehran, Iran at the time, did they call it Persia still then, or was it called Iran? I'm not sure. Some of you might remember that. When they took over, the Shah, I believe it was the Shah, I get them mixed up, the names and the mullahs mixed up a little bit. He came to the United States with his son, and now his son may go back to try to be the president or whatever to take over and put democracy back in. The country was like the United States. Women had all their rights. The people had all their rights. They could do anything they wanted to. It was a beautiful country to go to. It was a beautiful country to visit. Lots of great things for people. And since 1979, they took over. They kind of locked that entire country down, and they've locked lots of people in there. And it's run like a communist country would be run. And we're trying to help the people. It's not the people. The people are great. The politicians are the idiots, as usual, right? A McDonald's worker who was 19 years old was arrested for allegedly double charging customers and pocketing nearly $700. What can I say? You got what you were asking for. Just grab a burger. Don't take people's money. Sneak a burger off there. They'll probably give you one, man. Well, now he's going to go to jail for a bit. Historic New England harbor finally has clean water for the first time in 100 years. But locals are still anxious that it may not be as clean as they thought it was. And that looks like that's Boston. Looks like that Boston. Oh, that could be Philadelphia. I can't tell for sure. What other headlines are here that we can talk about real quick? Bill and Hillary Clinton staring down the Epstein barrel as GOP pushes explosive contempt of Congress vote. If you're out there and you don't realize that President Clinton was like this with Epstein, and he was the guy who was with him the most and did the most with him, you're not paying attention. That's for sure. Yet that's possible. Maybe you're not paying attention at all. And him and Hillary have been told that they're supposed to come to Congress and talk. And remember when other people wouldn't show up, how she would throw a fit and all this stuff. Now she's saying they're not coming. So that's contempt of court. What did they do during the Biden administration when someone did that? That was from the Trump administration that wouldn't come in? They threw them in jail. Are they going to do that to them? Of course, they're not going to do that to them, but they're going to complain about it, and they're still never going to show up, probably. If they do show up, they'll probably plead the fifth on everything. That's just the way this works. They're above everybody else. They don't have to. She's never had to have anything of the things that she's done ever had to come to fruition or go to court about it. Yet they tried to everything they can under the sun to get Trump, and all they could find was some paperwork issues and tried to turn something into felonies. The man has been the most exposed person on the planet, and you still can't figure out a way to get him in any way, shape, or form because he's not doing anything. You got all this evidence on Hillary of all the things she's done, from her servers to her money to the money that comes into her funds and foundations that comes out of all these different countries, and it's all there. All the money's there. It's been shown. He's been in with Epstein's Island. Nothing happens to him ever. One side attacks, the other one does not. That's a problem. Now, where does that head eventually? That heads to the other side eventually trying to attack that one. And then the other side lifts theirs up, and then they lift theirs up. And before you know it, that's all we ever have is constant everybody in court, everybody going to jail, throwing people in all kinds of conspiracy theories coming up. It was easy to understand a Trump conspiracy theory because there were 1,000 of them against Trump when he was in his first time. There would be one or two a day would pop out on the news. Oh, Trump did this. Oh, Trump was in bed with a hooker in Russia, blah, 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 blah. If it lasted more than 3 days, generally 2 days, it might be actually have some legs to it. But then it would just disappear. But what did they do 1,000 times? They put stuff into your head to make you think the man was doing this, this, and this. They never showed evidence. It would always come out and just say someone heard. An official of a friend of an official who heard this says Trump tried to take the steering wheel on January 6th away from the driver of his the monster mobile that they call that thing. That never happened. That woman lied straight to Congress. Why did she do that? Why? Because at the time she didn't think she was going to get hurt. And she probably still won't. We probably still won't go after her. It's just the way it is. So what you're telling people is you can lie all you want because it's power and you can get your power and no one's going to do anything because you're above the law, right? So it's a heartwarming story about a heroic dad, but also a rough one too. Heroic dad used his final moments to save his son 6 after they fell through ice on a snowmobile before the child walked 2 miles to get help. And dad didn't make it through there, but dad saved his kid. So rough story on that. Where's that at? It's probably obviously someplace cold with ice. New York, upstate New York. Shawmont Pond. Brian LaPlante was 33 and his son were ice fishing with Michael Booth, 48, when their snowmobile fell through the ice. A family member told the news that he had managed to save his little boy by lifting him out of the water, but tragically was unable to get himself out. LaPlante's father, Patrick, who was 51, went out to the pond when the group failed to return home and discovered the horrifying scene. Patrick frantically tried to get his son out of the water, only to fall in himself. He was able to eventually get out, but was unable to save his son or Booth. Oh, Booth died too, huh? He could not find the 6-year-old boy at the scene. I'm sure they thought they all died at that point. But Patrick then had returned home, only for the child to miraculously turn up shortly after, having walked 2 miles from the pond. 6-year-old in the cold, freezing. The grandfather and grandson were taken to the hospital for hypothermia. Many blessings to the family for their prayers through this, to get through this. Tough struggles. How can you find blessings and the good in this? And you can't in your mind when you first talk about it. But dad did what most dads would do. He gave himself up for his kid. And That's the story I wanna remember is that heroic dad who gave himself up for his kid, um, instead of the dad passing on us and him leaving us. He did a heroic thing for his kids. Prayers to that family and anybody who's lost somebody like that, and we got so many people going through times right now with cancer and different sicknesses and people like me with chronic pain and people who are struggling with depression and um, I just want all good things for everyone. I want to guide you towards Jesus because I think that'll help you get out of it if you're having problems. I want to guide you to the loving grace that Jesus will give you to no matter what you've done, where you've been, what your problems are, he will accept you if you have faith in him. And that will bring some comfort, some solace. It will bring an ease to you. And I believe it will fill your life with those blessings that we talk about. I never focused on the blessings I really had that I didn't understand I had when I was a young man because it was all about me. All of us remember being like that when we were younger, if you're older like me. And then I realized how many blessings I did have after I got hurt and after years of turmoil and that God was really there. And that's what pushed me towards God, becoming a pastor and doing the things that I'm able to help people with, despite so many problems that I have, and being able to pass on knowledge and help people get through times that many of us who are older have to give, to teach. And I would love for all of us to be able to get out there and be able to do that, especially if you're retired right now, right? That would be something that I would love for all of us to be able to do. All right, let's see what else we got in the highlights. So, just hitting some more of these. Gavin Newsom humiliated after he is denied entry to Trump's Davos clubhouse for mocking Daddy's boring speech. As White House sends him an X-rated message. That one I don't want to hear about, but they wouldn't let him in because he was mocking Trump. He probably would have went in there and made a scene. Is probably what he would have done. Um, but I doubt they'll let him. They'd let Trump into his either. So that's just the way it works. uh, uh, Europe set to unleash devastating trade bazooka if we didn't get this. So that was a story that came out a couple days ago, but now that's going to go by the wayside because they're going to work it all out on Greenland. So these are all older stories that we kind of covered yesterday that I went through. So there's a lot there on that front. We'll leave it for now. We'll come back to it maybe later. It's getting kind of late. I'm going to cover a lot of weather again here in about a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Let's cover some quick news locally. I talked about the the Purdue Jazz Festival, which is starting today, the 22nd. Let me see if I can go back to some of those highlights that I saw earlier on this. They'll give me the updates on it. The 36th annual Purdue Jazz Festival starts today, the 22nd, goes through the 31st. So it's like a whole week long. Wow, 9 days, right? Till next weekend. The Jazz Festival is sponsored for Music for All and in partnership with Essentially Ellington. Will take place the 22nd through the 24th. They'll be there with an additional special performance on January 31st. So that's why it goes out to the 31st. So a bunch of stuff this weekend and then again on the 31st. The festival launches on Thursday, that's today, 7 p.m. tonight with a free community jazz showcase at the Long Center for the Performing Arts. This opening concert celebrates local high school musicians from Harrison, Lafayette Jeff, McCutcheon, and West Lafayette, who will perform alongside the Purdue Jazz Band and artist in residence, trombonist Kirby Fellis. Now, headlining the festival is the legendary jazz fusion group Yellow Jackets, performing at Loeb Playhouse on Friday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. With a 43-year legacy, the Yellow Jackets have released 26 albums, and they've had 16 Grammy nominations. Awesome. It says they are known for continually reinventing themselves while honoring their jazz roots. Yellow Jackets remain a vital force on the global jazz stage. So on Saturday, 100 middle and high school jazz bands are going to come in from across the Midwest, and they're going to converge on the campus for a full day of performances and competitions. And the ensembles will compete in various divisions throughout Stewart Center, the Purdue Memorial, Elliott Hall of Music, and that's where the Essentially Ellington site's going to be, is the Elliott Hall of Music. And the Purdue Jazz Band will present 2 concerts that are free and open to the public that day. One at 12:45 at Loeb Playhouse, That will be with Kirby Fellis, the artist in residence, the trombonist, and another one at 7 p.m. at Elliott Hall of Music. And that one will be featuring Marshall Gilkeys, who is a trombonist. So trombonists are the theme this year, it seems. And there'll be all kinds of special guests and people. There'll be lectures, demonstrations all day. So a big event if your kids are into music and they're in high school music or middle school music. Lots of things going on in the Purdue campus. I can remember there being in high school and I did a lot of band stuff. I was the band geek before they said band geeks. So there you go. Or at least I was one of them. There were many of us, of course. Unfortunately, the women lost a ball game last night. They took it pretty bad out there in UCLA. Of course, UCLA was the number 3 team in the country, so it kind of knew it was going to be an uphill battle. But they lost by almost 50. So I'm trying to find the score here. I had it. There we go. 96-48, unfortunately. But there were some shining lights there. Nia Smith scored 14. Avery Gordon was going up against an All-American center, and she did pretty well there. She scored a career-high 13 on 4 of 4 shooting, and she was 5 of 7 from the line. So there's some pluses. This sounds like there's some team there. It sounds like next year they're going to be really good as they get better and better this year. UCLA's all their 5 starters reach double figures. When you score 90, something like that, that's going to happen a lot, of course. And a great team like that, a really good team, will do that to you. I can remember Purdue winning the national championship, the ladies, back in when it was. I don't remember the exact year. Who remembers the exact year? Let me know if you know that. It was between 97 and 2003 because I was at the TV station when it happened. I just don't remember what year it was. But our Lady Boilers won the national championship that year. And that was exciting. And they're trying to get back to that same place. They got a game Sunday. It's at noon, and they will be playing Indiana coming to town, right, for the annual Barn Burner Trophy game. And it'll tip off at noon. It looks like noon. It looks like it's on the Big Ten Network, so it's going to be shown. The men play Saturday. They play at 3 o'clock, and Illinois is coming into town, or the Illini. And the Illini are number 11 in the country, and Purdue just dropped a game they probably should have won on Tuesday as they had a 6-point lead with a minute and a half left. Didn't score the rest of the game, gave up 8 points on 2 threes and a deuce after they had 2 turnovers themselves and couldn't make the last bucket to win the game. That happens. It happens. Part of the game. Yeah, it's a little bummer. I think most of us are just bummed how they lost it. It's like, oh, that was a game we could have had. You toughed it out through this whole game. It was a tough stretch, and UCLA was playing really good, and they were shooting better, but we were doing better on rebounding and turnovers and things like that. But we just couldn't quite get over the hump, and that's going to happen. It does happen to every team every year. There's usually one loss. You think to yourself, you should have won that one. Not that UCLA was a bad team and they couldn't win. It's just it looked like you had it and you lost it. I think that's where most people are upset by. And some people are kind of floundering shooting right now, or they're not playing as good as they have their whole careers. But that's going to turn around quick. Shooters shoot. They'll be right back in there, and they'll be making shots pretty soon too. None of them are trying to miss, as far as I know. So that'll happen. And a lot of the other guys are stepping up at times. Look at the great game CJ Cox had the other night with that. So CJ's coming along. We're seeing some great spurts from him during the season. Braden, I think, is still battling a little bit of injury. He knocked knees a couple times. And while he still scored like 12 or 14 points and he didn't have his normal assist rate, he had those couple of those turnovers late in the game. Some of which I think he got slapped on the arm, and that had something to do with it, but they didn't call a foul. That kind of thing. So it was a little struggle there, but Clough kind of disappeared at the beginning of the game. Then he showed up, and then TKR looked great at the beginning, and then he kind of wasn't there most of the second half. It seemed like, but it's a mix. It's a mix. Overall, no worries for this team. They're still going to be good. They're still going to. They just may not be a number 1 seed, and it's one loss like that could do that. But they'll still be fighting for it. There's like 5 top-notch teams. You still put Purdue in there, even though they lost. They had just come off a 9-game winning streak. It's not like they weren't playing good enough. They're going to start a new 9-game winning streak right now, maybe more, right? And then win out for the Big Ten season. That would be awesome. But they have a really tough road of games coming ahead. They've got Illinois, right, coming Saturday. Then they go to Indiana next week, right? Iowa's in the mix there somewhere. Maryland, there's one easy game there. They got to go to Nebraska. Michigan State's coming to town. Michigan's coming to town. Wisconsin's coming back. That's that. So you can see there's like eight really still tough games left. And if you could go 6-2 in that, you may win the entire Big Ten. But I have a feeling someone's going to end up with only 3 losses this year, and Purdue lost one they shouldn't have. So that if they go 16-4, they may not be in there. It's just there's so many good teams. Nebraska's come out of nowhere, and they're 8-0. What do you want to do? Or 7-0. They're either 7-0 or 8-0, and they're 17-0 on the season, so they're playing great. Michigan's playing. Everybody thought Michigan had a good team. They just weren't sure they were this great, and they've been great. Michigan State's just plodding along quietly. That's what I like when Purdue does that. They just kind of quietly plod along, and when they were ranked 5th, nobody was talking about them much. They just go, "Yeah, we're not worried about them," and they move on to the next teams. And I was like, "That's good. Stay quiet. Don't even think about Purdue." Next thing you know, Purdue will be number 1 or number 2 in the country and have a number 1 seed. That's how I like to see it. Well, Michigan's starting to do that now, but Michigan State did that and has done that the whole season. They've got a great record. So those 5 teams are all fighting it out there, and I think somebody's only going to have 3 losses. 4 could still win it. I don't think 5. One of those teams is going to come out of the fray and only have three losses, maybe 4, and win the whole thing. And then they'll be the Big Ten tournament, and then into the NCAA tournament. And of course, that's when we really want to peak. But you still got to win games before that, so that you have an easier route to get through the tournament, and you're rated higher, right? So that's where we like to go on that front. 2 more football games this weekend also. The AFC Championship, the NFC Championship, the winners of each of those games will go to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks on February 8th. I believe it's a time frame for that. So there we are, at least on that front. All right, let's get into some weather here, all right? We got to figure out what's going on. We got to figure out if any of the new models have started to show anything. And I'm going to cut across. There we go. Hello, everybody. I'm up in the corner. Hello. All right, let's start looking at these charts, though, right? When I look at this, here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing 25 degrees Fahrenheit, right, as our current temperature, and it's sunny outside. I'll show you a satellite picture here just in a second. And we're talking about a little bit about the cold weather coming in. It's going to be very cold tomorrow morning. Today may be the last time we hit 30 degrees for 3 weeks, at least into February, right now. And I'm talking, it doesn't even show a lot of 20s on the charts over the next week or 2 weeks. So it's going to be cold. This is the coldest time of the year. It's hitting right at the same time that we normally see the coldest on average. So, sometimes you'll hit a cold pocket like we did in December where we were below 0. Well, that may happen again here where we're going to be below 0, but we are at our coldest time of the year at the end of January. So that's to be expected. But sometimes the end of January, it can be 40 degrees, right? So we should be somewhere around 32 to 34 for highs this time of the year. So we'll be close to that today. This says 31 with a low tonight of 2. I don't know if it'll get that far by midnight, probably still be the teens, but by tomorrow morning, we're talking -2 here with a high of 2 tomorrow. I'm going to get into the charts here shortly. You see cold, 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 snow on Sunday, starting to come into the picture everywhere on snow now. And we should get a little picture of the models of what's going on with the new models coming in, and there should be enough information to get out through Sunday on a lot of those. So here's the cold weather advisory for Lafayette right now. Portions of central and east central Indiana, along with north central and west central India. Just about everybody down to Indianapolis is going to be below 0. By the time you get down to Indianapolis, it'll be a little warmer, and the wind chills won't be so bad. But there's dangerous cold, wind chills as low as 20 below. Tomorrow morning could cause frostbite on exposed skin in as little as 30 minutes. And the advisory goes from 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow. So tonight after midnight kicks in, lingers through the day tomorrow, and then the winds let up. So then we don't have as much of a problem, excuse me, with the wind chills on those. Let's go to the satellite picture and show it. I showed the big picture. This was last hour. I kind of showed this. I'll zoom in closer. Obviously, this is United States, the lower half of it. Lafayette way over here. You can see where it is on the cursor. And the reason I popped this chart up at the end of the last weather segment I did was to show you where the system's coming from that's going to come in on Saturday and Sunday and into Monday for us. And here's what we're going to see. I talked yesterday, I think, a bit about the continuous frontal theory that was out there when I was younger. I don't even know if they talk about it anymore, or how the front is kind of hooked up with another front, even though you may not see anything from the front. Now, we had a frontal boundary go through the other day, and it's now all the way over here by New York, right? You can kind of see the tail end of it right there stringing out. But if you drew a line along that, along the little cloud front, all the way to this next area of clouds starting to pop up down here, you can see kind of the arc right there, right? And you could put a frontal boundary in there, although there's probably not an official frontal boundary in there. And what I see is low pressure systems that pop up in this area are going to follow right along where that front was. It's kind of like a train track in a way. It's one thought process on this, right? And we call these West Texas lows because they tend to pop up right down here in New Mexico, West Texas, and then they buzz right up through the Ohio Valley, and they do this, every other year or so. We get a really big one. Sometimes we get 2 or 3 in a year. Just depends on the year. But the low pressure system right now, the one that's going to affect us, is this one right here, off of California, right? You see it right here. It's going to push moisture and all kinds of weather into the mountains, especially of California. You're going to get plenty of snow there. And then probably tomorrow in the afternoon, maybe in the morning, we'll start to see the remnants of all this coming in through over to here, and it will form itself into a low here in New Mexico and into West Texas area. And then you will probably see a stream of moisture coming right back up that line I was talking about, right through there, and you can already see it setting itself up, trying to do that. But where the exact line is going to be tough, right? And the low will form itself here, and then it will move up and along. There will probably be a secondary low that forms behind it. So one will pass us like on Saturday into Sunday, and the other one will pass us on Sunday into Monday and be down to our south. Okay, that sounds all hunky-dory, but there's going to be a lot of snow on the north side of this system up here through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And there will be a very, very thick band of over a foot of snow right along the frontal boundary where it turns to ice and freezing rain and that kind of thing, which will be somewhere in Tennessee, Kentucky, or the heavy snow bands have been focusing right on the Ohio River for the European model now for a couple days. And now the NAM is starting to come in there too. So originally, when the heavy snow was down here in Tennessee, and this is what it showed on Monday, the heavy snow was here, we were either getting, one model said none and one said 9 inches, but it had the main band way down here. Well, Tuesday it came up into Kentucky, and one of them showed the Ohio River, and I said, we're going to continue this flow, and we got to focus on the Ohio River. And sure enough, the NAM now has come online to come into the Ohio River area for the thickest snows, and I'll show you that in just a second. But I'm going to zoom in a little closer here. Let's go to the subsectors right there. And then we can kind of see. So here's the Ohio River, right? All that heavy snow is going to be in southern Indiana right now, it looks like, over to Cincinnati, maybe northern Kentucky. Between Indy and Louisville could be the bad spot. But above that, we're still going to get plenty of snow up here now, too, because the entire low is going to come much closer to us than it was predicted to do on Monday by one model, and the other one had it was kind of iffy. One said nothing and one said a lot. So now we're getting closer and closer to the amount of snow potential being more online as we get that. Meanwhile, we have mid-level clouds coming through. We'll have a batch of clouds out here tonight that'll come through and clear out quickly into the morning hours. And then we're going to get into some really cold temperatures up in Minnesota, Wisconsin that'll come filter their way down. Here's your latest satellite picture. And satellite does show snow on the ground. Look at that. This is a visual, right? In this one, satellite picture. The other one was an infrared picture. So you can see the rivers. We can see the ground pretty easy. And yes, you're seeing the brightness pick up because the sun was coming up, right? The first pictures are just as the sun came up. Now you can see things pretty easily. And you can see the color. We've enhanced the color to be a little yellowish, reddish kind of color. Something there. I'm colorblind, so I can tell there's a difference, though. Those are your higher clouds and your mid-level clouds. And then your low clouds are still more whitish down here. And then the snow, you can see, it even has a little tinge to it. But look at the streak that came off the lake through LaPorte, down through Plymouth, Argus area, north of Grissom, Peru. There was a streak of the lake effect snow that went all the way down pretty far. And then all that lake effect snow came down through here that was pretty thick. I'm sure people off of the lake, Michigan City, LaPorte, Benton Harbor, just up north of that, probably got upwards of 6 inches to a foot in the last week, easily just from the lake effect snows. And off the backside of the lake into Michigan, they may have had a foot or more easily with the snow lake effect snows coming through. So that's what you see there. Here was how I showed the building of the system. Here we are today. You can kind of see where the low is out there. It's kind of non-sequential. It looks a lot better on the chart and what we see over there when we looked at the satellite. And then we're going to focus on this area right here in West Texas into New Mexico on the backside of the Rocky Mountains. So the low kind of bumbles itself through there, slowly gets into that area. And here we are on Friday, early morning Friday. Look at how showers are starting to pop up in different places. We're starting to get what we call troughing in here, which could be the low pressure system, just not a full bore low at that point. And we're seeing rain in and around the system already. That is Friday morning. And then Friday afternoon, we start to see more rain, snow popping up all the way up the Rocky Mountains. We see a low off to the just to the west of the West Texas area there, and it starts to form, and everything starts to move out. So kind of blindly, it moved across the desert areas, and now it starts picking itself up. I see a bump in the lines right here, a trough, and then a secondary trough back here. So one low here, possibly setting themselves up. That is Saturday morning, and you can see it's already almost to St. Louis. Some of the snows. It's into Arkansas, Tennessee with some ice and a mixture of ice and snow. Definitely ice and snow mixed down here too. This could be a pretty big ice storm at times in places. We're talking very bad conditions on the driving roads there. And then by Saturday afternoon, look at that 18Z, it's on us, and then it comes over us. And then it gets hit and miss for a while, but then it thickens up when the second low comes in, which will be way down by Mississippi, but the snow bands will be way up here. And then we get into some of this thick stuff on Sunday. So Sunday still looks to be the big day for a lot of our snow. Saturday, it starts later in the day, maybe noon at the first flurries. And then this only goes out to Sunday evening, and you see all this snow still left back here. This will be rather light, won't add a ton, but it will add annoyance. And if it's very light with big, strong, gusty winds in this area here where you see these dark lines close together, these isobars real close together, be very windy. And I would imagine this was able to go another couple hours, you would see this move right over the top of us Sunday night into Monday. Sunday night into Monday, if those winds are strong like that and that snow is a light snow, we may see some blizzard conditions after it. Even though it's not snowing that heavy, it will pick everything up. Roads will be nasty Monday morning. That's almost a guarantee. Whether we get to zero visibility in a blowing snow, like blizzard-like conditions or a half mile or something like that, it's going to be very rough road conditions Monday morning for sure. I can see school delays Monday morning. Plus, it's going to be really cold Monday morning. And we'll zoom back in here. Let's go into local real quick while I have some time here before we get to that. The 12Z for this has not changed. I just really want to see what the 15Z says. When we go out to the 18, it still shows the same there, but I want to see temperatures if this has changed any. Tomorrow morning, it still only goes out to 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. It still shows we're dropping all the way to 7 by that point, and you can see the big pocket of cold to our northwest, all right, on that front. And now I'm going to just zoom in real close to us so we can see the numbers a lot easier. There we go. And that's 7 degrees by that. And again, that's 3 in the morning, Friday morning. So 3 to 4. When we go to the NAM real quick, goes out a little farther. It's now 100% done on this. It says it's going to be a little warmer. It says it may still be, 10 to 16, but look how it drops off. And by the morning, still shows some 4 to 5, 6 in there. It's not as cold as the other ones are. It does show 0 in Rensselaer. I'll bet the European model it does go to like -2. But this is what? This is 10 o'clock in the morning. But notice your temperatures just don't warm up. No double digits. And then by late at night, we're going to drop even more again. Here we go. Oh, we get a little bit of cloud cover. Remember, now we're starting to get cloud cover and snow. We're going to hold our temperature somewhere in that range, 7 to 8. Our winds are no longer out of the northwest. They're now coming out of the east because the low is south of us. And that means the temperatures over here aren't as cold. They're still cold, but we're going to just hang in that area while it starts to snow as we go into Sunday, and just single digits, maybe into the lower teens by Sunday as we get more influence from the low, but it's still very cold. And the windy conditions stay up here, at least during that time frame. But you can see there are some off and on windy conditions, even Sunday during the day, where I see 15 to 20 knot wind potential right in there. And that's going to create some pretty bad conditions on the roads. Initially, snowfalls, because the wind's coming in from the northeast and east, will affect north-south roads the most on Sunday. But it'll affect all roads because we're looking at pretty bad conditions potentially But north-south roads will be the worst, and then by the time you get to Monday, it'll be the east-west roads because it'll be more northerly flow again, all right, by that time frame. So that's the NAM. Let's see how far the European model goes out now for temperatures, at least at first. And, oops, 6Z, where's the 12Z? Still not showing the 12Z. Let me refresh and see if I can get it. Oh, still nothing. Huh. Little late on the European model today. How about the GFS? It's got about 66% done. So let's see what the GFS says. We'll zoom in closer. This is showing precipitation. Let's see how far out that goes at 67%. Remember, the GFS is the one that has totally changed and like opposited itself. Yesterday, it showed us 6 inches. Now it moved the systems farther south and shows us we just get bumped. And then it's kind of dryish for a little bit. But then this is Sunday. Sunday, it starts to pick the snow back up again. There we get into some heavy snows potential with that. So the GFS is the quietest right now. And what is it going for snowfall? Let's see how. It is saying 2 to 3 inches, and it's the quietest. And this only goes out till Sunday morning, right? There we go. We go out farther. And so it's but look how thick and heavy it is down to the south of us. So you can see how 50 to 100 miles is going to make a difference here. But generally speaking, now this is the outlier because the NAM or the ECMWF, the European model, which again has not updated yet for some reason, on the 6Z shows us at 9 to 11 inches. Crawfordsville 11 and Lafayette 9.2, and all of us in that. The European model, that's that one. And then the NAM has now come on to go, 5, 6 inches for that time frame. Now up to 10 inches for the NAM on the 12Z. 10 inches. So that's a change too. So now the NAM and the European model are saying the snow is going to be right here in southern Indiana, right? The heaviest, even to the Ohio River. And there'll be a 10-inch swath north of Indianapolis somewhere, and we may be in that. Where the only one now saying no to that is the GFS, which says we're still going to get 4 to 6 inches. Easy to say right here now, right? So look for 4 to 6 inches at least, and we have the potential to get to 10, and we will fine tune that even more tomorrow because most of the snows are still falling on Sunday. We're still 72 hours out. Getting inside 48, all three of them will probably come right together and be within an inch or two of each other. They'll probably show 4 to 8 or something like that. And we'll try to figure out the specifics. So we are seeing some changes in there on the GFS. The GFS definitely looks different than it did the last time. Let's see what it showed last time in here. See, it had already showed us 5 inches or more by that time frame, and I think it kicked us up almost to 7. So it's dropped a little bit in this run to the next run, which means it probably dropped the track a little farther south away from us, and only 20 miles. Look at it, probably only changed at 20 miles difference, and it went from 7 inches to 5 inches of snowfall. So that's the only decrease so far in the models, and the European is not out yet for some reason. That's a bummer. Let's look at some of these other ones, which are pretty interesting. I like these are ensembles. And I know a lot of guys who really love looking at the ensembles, but sometimes they just complicate my head because there's too many pictures there. But it puts a lot of things together to show you what may be happening at certain times. And this would be 18Z on Monday and what it might look like by that time frame. Let's go back to, say, Sunday, right? Sunday, midday. 18Z. There we are, midday. Shows like over here, this ensemble, when you put it all together, shows heavy rains to the south and lots of snow to the north. This one, though, shows no snow over us. This one shows light. This one shows heavy, 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 nothing, heavy, pretty heavy, light. This ensemble, very heavy, nothing, heavy, heavy, heavy. I see lots of heavier snows now, right, over our area for Sunday, and still some light occasional ones there. So when you put that all together, it seems to me like we're going to be seeing some pretty good snow potential now. Now that we've moved the track of the low farther north, which is good. All right. I mean, good for a weatherman and snow, but not good for all of us because the next few days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, are going to be pretty rough. Digging out, getting away from things if the snow falls, drifts, very cold temperatures. Be prepared. Get yourself ready. Do you got your snow shovel ready? Can you help somebody else? Do you got a blower? Do you have all your gloves, hats, scarves, anything you need when you go out there? Are you able to go out and shovel snow? Should you be doing it? Do you have heart problems? You shouldn't be doing that. All right. I don't want to lose one or two of us because we went out and shoveled in the cold and it was 4 degrees and you had to get your 6 inches of snow off your driveway. We don't want to lose anybody because of that. Pay attention to your grandparents, your parents, your family, anybody around you, your neighbors in your houses around you. Maybe they need some help. Keep an eye on that. Make sure the house is prepared for the cold too. Uh, in the cold and windy conditions, we can lose power. People tend to hit telephone poles, it seems like. There were 2 just in the last storm that hit telephone poles and knocked power out around the county. So that can happen. Be prepared for those kind of things. Sometimes that means propane, right? It's a possibility. But I do like to look at these sometimes just to give me an idea, rough idea. Now, this is the snow prognosis. This thing is pretty cool. So here we are today, right? We're way out here. Let me get rid of that box. Got my times on there. Friday morning, 6Z. So this is midnight tonight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And we move along. We see the snow off the lake. We don't think much. And then, boom, during the day tomorrow, we start to pop up snows in northern Texas. And watch where it starts to move. Look where it's going, right where we've been talking, right? Spreading itself right towards the Ohio River and the Ohio River Valley, which is kind of all the states in that general area, which would be, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and even, well, maybe not Tennessee, but you can see what I'm talking about, the Ohio River Valley. And that's 18Z. So that's 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. It shows snow over Lafayette, which is right about here. And then you see amounts, right? And your percentage chances. So we're at a 25 to 30% chance of snowfall by that time frame. And then look what happens. It increases. By the afternoon, we're into almost 50%. And by the evening, we're into 70, almost 75% just to our south. And we're definitely going to be snowing by that time frame, right? And then it kind of cuts across, says it's going to snow all Sunday night. A little bit of in and out here or there. Look at, because of the swath, it now looks like it's over southern Indiana instead of over the Ohio River. At least it's probability chart for where it will be snowing. And then out to Sunday, it's still snowing. And look at this. It goes out to 1 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. It is still snowing over Lafayette. It still has over a 50% chance of snowfall during that time frame. So that's pretty cool about that one that comes out. Let's see what this in the CFS, different model. See what we can find on this one. I'm not sure exactly. I don't look at this one a ton. It does show me the low pressure system on Monday where it is and how it's cutting across. It's a little more broad when I look at this. I don't see a lot of, it goes out farther. I know that. That's why it's so broad. But notice the cold stays in. Cold, cold, cold. So this one's kind of give me a good idea of temperatures. We just stay cold. We're in the blue, which is below freezing, and in the 20s and 10s, single digits. And now we're out to Thursday, February 5th. This goes, and we finally start to get a little bit of warmth, if you call it that, towards us. And then there you go. There's a low, another low. Look at this, where this low cuts across. It's a little farther south of Mississippi, right? So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And this is February 8th. So don't count on any of this, but we're still looking at cold temperatures. We want to look at the how it flows and what we can see for potential out there. Not that it can happen. I want to see the how it's going to work. If it shows cold, and we're going to stay cold, right? It still shows more cold into February. And look at that, another shot into February of cold. So right now it's looking like that's pretty nasty there. That is February 20th. Yes, it's a month out, but it shows it very, very cold here. Setting up again. The polar vortex, look out. And another low cuts across through Mississippi and Arkansas and down to the south. I don't see any big Texas lows popping up. Everything stays farther to the south because this sets itself up to keep the cold to the north, the warm to the south, and everything to run along to the south. So we'll probably see lots of these little clipper systems coming through with that one, right? That's what we're going to see on that. So that was the temperature, convective fronts. What do we have there? Surface-based supercells. Remember, I said there's a secondary time frame for thunderstorms. Let's take a look at what we're talking about here. Boom, 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 right there. So what it's saying with the system, remember I said we could see some thunderstorms, Arkansas, Alabama, Missouri, Georgia, right through here. There it is. off the coast, it's saying there's a better chance for it. And then there's a little right there. There we go. Monday, Sunday, right where I said it was going to be. There's some potential for some uh, uh, thunderstorms right there. Maybe I don't know about a tornado yet. But it is saying supercell composite potential is there, and the surface-based cape is still strong there too. And these are all thunderstorm ideas to give you idea what's going to happen. So the CFS can run and show me trends, and it goes out a whole month, and it can show me some areas for convective activity pretty well too. And then we use the GFS for 2 weeks. The European model is generally for a couple weeks. It goes out, still not coming in yet this morning. The GFS or the European model. Then we start mixing some of them together, and we can get some information off of those. Um, some of that's pretty good, some of it is not. Just depends. And you can see why, and they're talking about their temperatures and the way they're talking about them. And here we are Sunday showing the cold off to our northwest, the system buzzing through and pulling warm. Look at how it pulls some. There's cold air left over in front of the frontal system, right? That's being forced down there on Sunday. So that's why it's going to be a lot of snow over here too, along the eastern seaboard on Sunday into Monday for them. We're going to start sometime Saturday and go through Sunday, and then kind of die out over the night, Sunday night into Monday. I'm still worried about the winds on Monday morning. Monday morning, here's the NAM. Let's go in close to us again. Let's change the size into us. And there's just a lot of close wind barbs here Sunday evening. Doesn't go out quite far enough for us. Let's see if I can get the GFS to see what it says. Monday morning, there's 12Z, which is 8 o'clock in the morning. And luckily, it's just showing us 11, 12 knots. 11, 12 knots usually doesn't pick up much snow at those kind of speeds. It's got to be a bit stronger than that. Usually when we get in the 20 range, and here we are still showing 11s pretty much. Nothing dramatic. So that's good. Good news, at least on that front on Sunday into Monday. Just don't see a lot. Okay, then we start picking up some winds on Tuesday, but by then we may have had some packing down, and it'll be a little more hard pressed to pick it up and move it with this quick moving trough coming through. No clouds over it or anything. So we'll see. Maybe definitely some conditions we're gonna have to watch out for. You're gonna have low visibilities when it's snowing, not just from the snow, but there could be a mixture of some fog in there being so cold. And then maybe some blowing snow in patches. Drifting on roads will be something we'll have to worry about, especially Monday morning might be the big dig out for everybody, Sunday into Monday. The guys with the plows will be out Sunday, I'm sure. And then we got that cold just off to our north right now. Setting up for Monday morning. So if you're going to go out Monday morning to shovel, say you're going to go out at 8 o'clock in the morning, and here's 10 o'clock, right? It's 12 degrees outside with a wind chill of about 0 to 5 below, and you're going to go out and try to shovel. Make sure you are healthy and ready to go and do that. All right. Still going to be rather cold on that day. Matter of fact, some of the models, remember, showed below 0 still on Monday morning. This is showing more of the potential for cloud cover coming off the lake and that quick system that moves through across there. Could drop some flurries or something in there by that time frame. So keep that in your mind, right? And then the NAM says 12 to 15 knots at that same time frame. That's 00Z. That's Monday afternoon. Bit more wind Monday afternoon. So wind chills will be even colder. And that could start picking up a little bit Monday night into Tuesday, it looks like, for potential on that. Sorry, guys. I think my voice is starting to go. What do you think? I think so, too. All right. So that's all the charts. That's what we went through. I'm bummed. For some reason, no European model has come in yet this morning. So I hope they're not just doing some maintenance on it, although could get it done and over with. And that would be pretty cool. Here's a cool chart right here. It just happens to be the last one, right? We're looking at this. This is Monday morning. This is off the European model. This would be Monday night. It says 00Z, so it's Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And look at this stream right here of warmer temperatures. You notice that? And look at the direction of the wind coming straight off the lake. So This is why the models have started to change and maybe not forced this in here yet, but it's all a timing issue. Once the wind shift to the northwest, which is going to be moving in through after this, which we watch, then the cold will come in right behind it. But overnight, Sunday night into Monday, look at we're in the trek where the snowfall could come off the lake, flurries, light snow with all the snow that's already there that's been around, and then boom, by 1 o'clock in the morning, notice the change in the wind direction. And now the temperature just falls off like a rock. So Monday morning could be even colder than what the other model was showing. And since I've had more models tell me that we're in the negatives Monday morning, we're going to keep a good eye on that. But that's 4 days away. What is it? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, we're full 4 or 5 days away. Lots of changes. -7. Woo, doggy. And there you go. So -7 Monday morning is what the ECMWF is, which is a European model, on its 6Z run ran. -7 degrees. What did it run on the 00Z? It ran 9 degrees. So it's actually warmer than what it did on the run before that. They come out every 6 hours. It should have been out already, but at least some of it. We should have been able to get to Monday, but no help there. All right, guys, that's it. Man, what a day. What kind of weather we have. There is something everywhere for this weekend. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. I'll let you know what's going on. I may run shorts all weekend to let people know what's going on. So keep an eye on this channel. You will find more information on this channel than anywhere else. You are not going to see someone talk about weather for a half hour to 45 minutes when a storm's coming in here, other than the Weather Channel, right? But the Weather Channel has to cover the entire country. I get to focus on Lafayette. So this is your best chance and your best weather that you will find right here. All right, guys. Let's call it a day. That's what we're going to do. We've unpacked some heavy local news today, right? We talked about the justice. We only talked about him one, but the judge that got shot, they still don't know who it is. They're still looking for him. He's going to recover, and so is his wife. But it hits close to home when it reminds us how fragile we can be sometimes when a judge gets shot like that. Yet, alongside it, progress like the new hospital. We talked about the potential for that in West Lafayette, and that it had been okayed so far. Jazz filling the air at Purdue University this weekend. So a lot of Lafayette spirits are going to be enduring there during that. Nationally and globally, we talked about stuff, big shifts in diplomacy and policy between what Trump, like I told you, Trump was being braggadocious and everybody panicked like they always do because he wanted something else. He got everything he wanted and everybody's coming together. It'll be a big kumbaya over it and everybody will still be able to use Greenland, but we'll get what we want out of it, which is minerals and the bases and protection for our country and for Europe. All right. That's what it was doing there. But in these cold days, I want you to remember, let's lean on the warmth of community and faith. In Psalms 46:1, it says this: God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. That psalm has helped me many, many times when I haven't been feeling good, for sure. When it's going to be rough this weekend and you're cold and you're locked in your house and you're like, I can't go anywhere, possibly for a day or two, remember that psalm. God is our refuge and strength in every present help in trouble and every present help in trouble. All right. When things feel frozen or uncertain, let's just, he's a steady source that we can go to. That thaws my fears for sure and helps me a lot when I really am struggling. Thanks for joining me. My name's Brian Burden on Let's Talk Lafayette. Share your thoughts with everybody. Check on a neighbor. Don't be afraid to email me at let's talk Lafayette live@gmail.com and chat with me when we're live again tomorrow. Stay safe in this chilly weather, and we'll talk again soon. God bless everyone.